Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Now that the dignitaries have arrived, I would request everyone to be seated as we are going to commence the program within 5 minutes. Thank you. I would request I would request everyone to be please seated as we are about to begin our program. As the dignitaries have arrived, I would request Honorable Mr. Justice N. Naveed sir and Pujaniya Swamiji Nandananda, Advocate Sri Vivek and Advocate Sri Deep Ashok and Advocate Venukumar to please occupy the seats at the dais. Um, uh, A warm welcome to one and all present here. I'm entirely elated and moreover honored to welcome all of you to the Young Lawyers Conference 2025, organized under the auspices of Bharatiya Abhibhashana Parishad, commemorating the Vivekananda Jayanti. Thereat, the journey continues. It is a metamorphic exposition, moreover a platform where the eminent panelists would be speaking about their journey in law. The beauty, what I feel in this personally, is that it is not confined within the precedents and boundaries of a tangent of a singular topic. As the eminent panelists and the legal luminaries would be reminiscing their memories, the trials and tribulations, the nuances, the nitty-gritties of this profession, which would enthrall not just the entire audience, but predominantly the younger generation would be at the receiving end of it. For the inaugural session, we are blessed with the presence of Honorable Mr. Justice N. Navidesh sir and Swami Nanda gathered over here. We are deeply appreciative and offer our grateful welcome to you all, sir. Without further ado, let's commence the inaugural ceremony. I would now like to invite Advocate Lakshmi Meenakshi for Vande Mataram.
Vande Mataram, Vande Mataram, Sujalam Sufalam, Malayaj Sheetalam, Sasya Shyamalam Mataram, Vande Mataram, Shubhra Jyotsna Pulakitayamine, Fulla Kusumita Drumadala Shobhini, Suhasini Sumadhura Bhashini, Sukhadam Varadam Mataram, Vande Mataram.
Thank you so very much, Advocate Meenakshi Lakshmi and Advocate Devati for that beautiful rendition of the Vande Mataram. Now, I would like to invite Advocate Aparna Giri for the welcome address.
Good evening to all. Honorable Mr. Justice N. Nagesh, Judge, High Court of Kerala. Pujaniya Swami Nandatmajananda, Editor, Prabhuta Kerala. Advocate Sri Vivek A.V., President of the ceremony. Advocate Sri V. Ashok, State General Secretary, Bharatiya Abhibhashaka Parishad. Advocate Sri P.L. Venukumar, Unit Secretary, High Court of Unit, Bharatiya Abhibhashaka Parishad. Esteemed judges, senior lawyers, distinguished guests, fellow advocates, and all those who have joined us today. It is my great honor and privilege to welcome you all to the Young Lawyers Conference 2025 on this auspicious occasion of Swami Vivekananda Jayanti. We are gathered here today under the theme, The Bare Act, The Journey Continues, which reflects our collective commitment to understanding and applying the core tenets of law as we continue to evolve and grow in our profession. We are especially privileged to have the following dignitaries with us today. Honorable Mr. Justice N. Nagesh, whose vast experience and dedicated service on the bench continue to inspire and guide the younger generation of lawyers. His invaluable contribution to the legal fraternity has paved the way for many, and we are honored to have him inaugurate this conference. On behalf of the Young Lawyers Conference 2025, I warmly welcome you, sir, to this esteemed conference. Pujaniya Swami Nandatmajananda, whose profound spiritual wisdom not only enlightens us in our personal lives, but also provides much needed guidance in our journey as legal professionals. We are fortunate to have him with us as our esteemed chief guest. On behalf of Young Lawyers Conference 2025, I sincerely welcome Swamiji to this prestigious gathering. Advocate Sri Vivek A.V., President of the ceremony, whose leadership and guidance have been instrumental in organizing this event. On behalf of everyone, I warmly welcome you, sir, to this significant occasion. Advocate Sri V. Ashok, State General Secretary, Bharatiya Abhibhashaka Parishad, whose steadfast support and leadership will strengthen our collective efforts as a legal community. I am delighted to welcome you, sir, to this occasion. Advocate Sri P.L. Venukumar, Unit Secretary, High Court Unit, Bharatiya Abhibhashaka Parishad, whose untiring commitment has been vital to the success of this event. I extend a heartfelt welcome to you, sir, to this gathering. We are indeed grateful to all esteemed judges and senior lawyers from the High Court of Kerala who have graciously joined us today. Your presence here is a testament to your continued support for the development and empowerment of junior lawyers. Additionally, I extend a warm welcome to all members of Young Lawyers Conference and each and everyone present here to this informative gathering. As we embark on this journey of legal and personal growth, I am reminded of a powerful quote by Swami Vivekananda, which I believe resonates with us in all this moment. Education is the manifestation of perfection already in man. This reminds us that knowledge we gain both in law and in life is already within us. Our role is to uncover and refine it, and through this process contribute meaningfully to society and to justice. Once again, I extend a very warm welcome to each and every one of you. Let us make the most of this opportunity to learn, exchange ideas, and expand our understanding of the law so that we may continue our journey with dedication, integrity, and passion for justice. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Aparna, for that wonderful and entire welcome address. Now, I would like to request Advocate Vivek A.V. for the presidential address.
"91 and 132. 91 and 132. That is the duration between the Great Chicago Speech, Declaration of the birthday of Swamiji Vivekananda as the National Youth Day, and this. Good afternoon. The Honorable Mrs. inaugurates sir, and other judges of honor of the dais, Swami Nanda Pujanandaji, seniors and my dear friends. The birthday of Swami Vivekananda was declared as National Youth Day in the year 1984. That is 91 years after his speech at Chicago and 82 years after his death on 4th July 1902. Yet, still we commemorate his birthday and celebrate it as a National Youth Day. Why? Because of his inspirational thoughts and life that still stands as a motivation for not only the youth but also to the population of the entire world. The inspiration, what that inspiration was the reason behind the conduct of this conference as well. The Young Lawyers Conference was convened by the Bharati Abhibhashaka Parishad in the year 2023 with the sole purpose of providing an inspiration, guidance, and motivation to the young lawyers struggling with the anxieties of the hopes and expectations vested on them by their family, peers, and society. Today, what we can find is that most of the young lawyers who come to the profession are facing so many struggles. Be it in the struggle of getting cases or getting some good office or even getting a good accommodation before the judge. There were so many anxieties that are faced by the young lawyers. That was the sole purpose behind this particular conference. The first and second edition of this conference was a grand success with the participation of around 250 young lawyers and law students getting and gathering here and learning from the life experiences and exceptional stalwarts of the legal profession from both the bench as well as the bar. A good guy will save miles and time. Likewise, a good advice may save your life. Our hope with this conference is that the budding lawyers are able to get some advice or guidance in their life that would help them in their real life to achieve their goals in future. I wish that all the lawyers that are here are able to grab some thoughts or inspiration from this conference that would aid them in their life. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, sir, for that enlightening presidential address. Now, proceeding with the lighting of lamp, I would request all the dignitaries on the dais. I would request Honorable Justice Navesh, sir, Swami Nityananda, and all the dignitaries to kindly raise and light the lamp. I would now like to request Honorable Mr. Justice N. Navesh, sir, to kindly enlighten us with his pearls of wisdom and his wealth of experience. So I request you, sir, to kindly deliver the inaugural address.
The president of the program, Advocate Sri Vivek Devi, Pujaniya Swami Nandatmajanandaji, Advocate Aparna Giri, Advocate Hemant H, Advocate Lakshmi Meenakshi, my brother and sister judges are in the audience, Sophie Madam, Justice Shyam Kumar, many senior lawyers I can see, Sanal Srikumar. A pranam to all of you. Pranam to all of you. Let me first take this occasion to congratulate the organizers of this program to commemorate Vivekananda on this auspicious day. Vivekananda is described as a Hindu monk of India. That is how Europeans call it, Hindu monk of India. If you take the philosophies, life history, writings of Swami Vivekananda, you'll find that Swami Vivekananda is much more than a monk. If Vivekananda is a monk, or if Swami Vivekananda is only a monk, then you will have to redefine the term monk. Apart from propagating spirituality, Swami Vivekananda propagated love towards mankind. Swami Vivekananda propagated that love is the prayer to God. Manava Seva, Madhava Seva, Nara Seva, Narayana Seva. Unless you love your community, love all human beings and serve them, then there is no point in praying to God. The real prayer to God is to love human beings, all human beings, and to serve them wherever it is necessary. If wiping the tears from the eyes of downtrodden or marginalized or poor people is what is socialism, then I will say Swami Vivekananda was the greatest socialist. Swami Vivekananda's teachings inspired not only Indians, not only inspired Indian freedom movement, but inspired the entire world. He gave a new dimensions to the spiritual thought to the world. And I will say today we are all lawyers, you are all lawyers here sitting. The speeches, the words, the points propagated by Swami Vivekananda have special reference to lawyers. Lawyers have much to learn from his teaching. In the social front as well as in their professional front, I will say. But before coming to that, why I am saying so, I would just like to put up a few words which is written by me relating to Swami Vivekananda's life. Swami Vivekananda is a man who taught the world to believe in themselves. His words, arise, awake and stop not till the goal is achieved, fired up the hearts of large number of persons across the globe. Swami Vivekananda was not just a monk, he was a thinker, a philosopher and a leader. He was a fighter who taught us how to live with purpose, strength and kindness. Swamiji always questioned the superstition and fear. He believed in seeking the truth and facing challenges boldly. As young Narendra, his mind was like a sponge. He could read a book once and remember everything in the book. His thirst for knowledge was unmatched. After his father passed away, Narendra's family faced financial difficulties. There were days when they did not have enough food to eat. Vivekananda used to tell a lie to his family members many times. He said, I have already eaten. He wanted his mother and siblings to eat without worry when food is scarce. This selflessness act showed at a young age, showed his deep love for his family and taught his value of sacrifice. He professed that God lives in every human being and that serving humanity is the greatest form of worship. Narendra had an incredible passion for reading. He would sit for hours lost in books. He once borrowed a book from a library and returned it in the next morning. The librarian got suspicious. He asked Swami Vivekananda, did you read the book or you just scanned it? Vivekananda said, I have read every word of that book. If you have any doubt, you can ask questions from any part of the book. The librarian took the book and asked him some 12, 13 questions. And Narendra promptly answered them, quoting the lines. And the librarian was shocked to listen that. That is the concentration with which the Swamiji used to read books. Swamiji believed that education was key to solving the world's problems. He would often tell others to fill your minds with high thoughts and you will always walk with your head high. Narendra was a curious student who never accepted anything without proof. Narendra realized that God was not just in temples and books. God was in every living being. This realization shook him. He taught us to serve humanity. If you want to see God, serve the poor, the hungry, and the needy. That is the greatest worship of God. Narendra's friends often asked him, how do you remember everything you read? He revealed his secret. It is focus. He would read with such concentration that nothing else could detract him. Ability to focus became one of his greatest strengths, helping him to achieve incredible success later in life. He believed that true focus could help anyone overcoming challenges. He believed that strength is life and weakness is death. In his famous Chicago speech, Swami Vivekananda spoke about the essence of India's spiritual teachings and importance of harmony among religions. He explained how religions are part of the same boat. As the different streams having their souls in different places, all mingle their water in the sea. So the different paths which men take all lead to one God. Agashat patitam toyam yathagachati sagaram sarvadeva namaskaram keshavam pratigachati. This message of unity touched everyone's heart. He explained how India had welcomed people of different faiths for centuries. He said in Chicago, I am proud to belong to a nation which has sheltered the persecuted and the refugees of all religions and all nations on earth. Swami Vivekananda did not shy away from pointing out the dangers of religious favoritism. He called for love and respect among all faiths, saying that hatred only leads to destruction. The audience of America were captivated. They listened to him for over 2 hours in the Chicago speech. They listened to him completely mesmerized. Many people later said it felt as though they were listening to a divine voice. Some even had tears in their eyes, feeling inspired and humbled. After his speech, the history says after when he started the words with brothers and sisters of America, there were applause which lasted for 2 minutes. After his speech, he became an instant celebrity. Newspapers across America praised him, calling him a spiritual genius and the voice of India. Americans wanted to meet him and learn and understanding India's spiritual heritage. He gave the people of America hope, strength, and a new way of looking at the world. Before Vivekananda's speech, many Westerners had a negative view about India. They thought India as a land of poverty, superstitions, and snake shamans. But after hearing him, their perspective changed completely. One American woman wrote in her diary that if this is what Indian culture produces, then we must learn from them. That was the opinion of common American citizens. Vivekananda's words had the power to not only educate but also to inspire respect and admiration for India. After the Parliament Chicago speech, Vivekananda traveled across America, lecturing a large number of people gathered everywhere he spoke. He taught not only spirituality, he taught importance of self-confidence, the need to rise above selfishness and greed, and the value of helping others. He said, take risks in life. If you win, you can lead. If you fail, you can fail. He would say, the best way to live is to serve others. Love and service are the highest forms of Vivekananda's greatness was not in his words, it was in action, in his actions. Vivekananda's history says, during the days he was in America, in the morning while he was strolling in a park, it was very cold. Everybody was sharing their had coats and all. And one man was sitting under a tree with bare chest. He had nothing to wear as a shirt. Swami Vivekananda went to him, took off his own shawl, covered him, and said, you deserve it more than me. And it is said that the people sitting in the parks were moved by such a compassion. Nobody does it in America during that time. Vivekananda deeply believed in the power of young people. He told youth that you are the creators of your own destiny. Believe in yourself and you will be unstoppable. Be fearless, work hard, and help others. Vivekananda's journey was not just about inspiring others, it was about transforming humanity and awakening the sleeping spirit of his beloved India. Swami Vivekananda returned to India in 1897. Thousands greeted him. They saw him as a hero, a symbol of strength and wisdom. Vivekananda was deeply pained by the poverty, suffering, and lack of confidence in India. But he believed in the potential of every Indian. In one meeting, he demanded, "Arise, awake, and stop not until the goal is achieved." This became a mantra for the youth of India. He said, "You are the makers of your own destiny. Stand up, be strong, and take responsibility for your life." He believed that education is the key to India's survival. Education was not just about books and degrees. Education is the manifestation of the perfection already in man. He dreamed of an India where every child has the opportunity to learn, grow, and achieve greatness. He called youth to focus on the present, do one thing at a time, and while doing it, put your whole soul into it, excluding everything else. Stop worrying about the past, stop worrying about the future, and focus on the present moment. Embrace challenges, take obstacles as opportunities of growth. Be fearless. Repeatedly, he said, "Strength is life and weakness is death. Fear is the greatest enemy." Lifelong learning. He called for lifelong learning. He said, "Learn as if you were to live forever." These are the prime points projected by Swami Vivekananda. Now think of your professional career. Why are you practicing? If you go by Swami Vivekananda's preaching, you should be of help to the humanity. You should practice to wipe off the tears of the downtrodden, to help the poor, to help the marginalized, to help the socially backward people. That should be at least one of the aims of our legal profession, your legal profession. He said, "Focus. Focus is the success of life." When you get a brief, instead of taking the fees and putting it in pocket and keeping the file aside, if you focus on that file from day one, you know where he will reach. And we all know how many of us focus on our files. We feel as if we know everything. There are these points, that points. We will protect them and we will get an interim order. No. You have to focus on the file, focus on the law, find out new areas, new vision on the existing legislations. He said, "Embrace challenges, take obstacles as opportunities, be fearless, learn for lifelong learning." These are all points which should be adopted by every young lawyer. We have many things to learn from, as lawyers, we have many things to learn from Swami Vivekananda in the social front as well as our professional front. I am not much a philosopher or reader. Swamiji is here to speak more about Swami Vivekananda. I would conclude my speech formally declaring that this program is inaugurated. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, sir, for enlightening and illuminating us with the wealth of experience and traversing and leading us across the life teachings and preachings of Swami Vivekananda, and how we can imbibe, instill, and inculcate the traits and characteristics within ourselves to make ourselves turn into a better person. Now, I would invite Pujaniya Swami Nandatmachananda for delivering the speech.
मूकं करोति वाचालं पंकुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपा तमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्। ॐ स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय नमः। Honorable Justice N. Nagesh Ji, Advocate Vivek A.B., Advocate Lakshmi Meenakshi, Advocate Aparna Ji, Advocate Ashok Ji, മറ്റ് വിശിഷ്ട വ്യക്തികളെ, അഭിഭാഷകരെ, എല്ലാവർക്കും എൻ്റെ വിനീതമായ നമസ്കാരം. സ്വാമി വിവേകാനന്ദൻ വന്ന പശ്ചാത്തലം ഒരു നിയമപരിപാലനത്തിന്റെ കുടുംബത്തിൽ ആണ് എന്നുള്ള കാര്യം നിങ്ങൾക്ക് ഏവർക്കും അറിയാവുന്നതാണ്. അദ്ദേഹത്തിന്റെ ലക്ഷ്യം ബാരിസ്റ്റർ ആവുക എന്നുള്ളതായിരുന്നു. നിയമം പഠിച്ച ഒരാളായിരുന്നു. വിവേകാനന്ദ സ്വാമിയുടെ അച്ഛൻ വിശ്വനാഥ ദത്ത കൽക്കട്ട ഹൈക്കോർട്ടിലെ അഭിഭാഷകനായിരുന്നു. അദ്ദേഹത്തിന്റെ ജീവിതം വളരെ ആശ്ചര്യപ്പെടുത്തുന്ന ഒന്നായിരുന്നു. 20 വർഷം കൊണ്ട് അദ്ദേഹത്തിന്റെ ആദ്യ പദ്ധതി കൊണ്ട് ഭൗതികമായ വിദ്യാഭ്യാസം നേടുന്നു. അതിനുശേഷം 5 വർഷം കൊണ്ട് അദ്ദേഹത്തിന്റെ ഗുരുനാഥനിൽ നിന്നും ആധ്യാത്മിക പാഠങ്ങൾ സ്വാംശീകരിച്ചെടുക്കുന്നു. അതിനുശേഷം 5 വർഷം കൊണ്ട് ഇന്ത്യ മുഴുവൻ പരിവ്രജനം ചെയ്യുന്നു. അതിനുശേഷം 5 വർഷം കൊണ്ട് പാശ്ചാത്യ ലോകത്ത് പോയി പാശ്ചാത്യ ചിന്തയിൽ കീഴടങ്ങുന്നു. അതിനുശേഷം 5 വർഷം കൊണ്ട് രാമകൃഷ്ണ മിഷൻ എന്ന് പറയുന്ന ഒരു ആഗോള സംഘടനയ്ക്ക് തുടക്കമിടുന്നു. 4 സുഖ 20+5+5+5+5 കേവലം 39 വർഷം കൊണ്ട് അദ്ദേഹം തന്റെ ജീവിതം പൂർത്തിയാക്കുന്നു. അദ്ദേഹം തന്റെ സമാധി, വിവേകാനന്ദ സ്വാമികൾ തന്റെ സമാധി 5 വർഷം മുമ്പ് തന്നെ പ്രവചിക്കുകയുണ്ടായി. ടു ദ ജൂലൈ 4th എന്ന ഒരു കവിത അദ്ദേഹം കാശ്മീരിൽ വെച്ച് എഴുതുകയുണ്ടായി. കൃത്യം 5 വർഷത്തിന് ശേഷം 1902 ജൂലൈ 4th അദ്ദേഹം സമാധിയാവുകയുണ്ടായി. വിവേകാനന്ദ സ്വാമികളുടെ ജീവിതം ലോകത്തെ എത്രമാത്രം സ്വാധീനിച്ചു എന്നുള്ളത് വളരെയധികം ചർച്ചാ വിഷയമായിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു കാര്യമാണ്. ചരിത്രകാരനായ A.L. ബാഷാം പറയുന്നു, വിവേകാനന്ദ സ്വാമികൾ ആധുനിക ലോകത്തിന്റെ സൃഷ്ടാക്കളിലൊരാളാണ്. മഹാകവി രവീന്ദ്രനാഥ ടാഗോർ പറയുന്നു, ഇന്ത്യയെ അറിയണമെങ്കിൽ വിവേകാനന്ദനെ പറയും പഠിക്കുക. If you want to know India, study വിവേകാനന്ദ. ഇത് പറയുന്നത് മഹാകവി രവീന്ദ്രനാഥ ടാഗോറാണ്. വിവേകാനന്ദ സ്വാമികളുടെ ഒരു പാശ്ചാത്യ ശിഷ്യയായ ജോസഫിൻ മക്ലിയോട് അവര് വിവേകാനന്ദ സ്വാമികളെ കണ്ട ശേഷം പറയുകയാണ്, ഹൗ ഗ്രേറ്റ് സ്വാമി വിവേകാനന്ദ ആൻഡ് ഹൗ ഗ്രേറ്റ് ഐ ആം. ഇവിടെ വിവേകാനന്ദ സ്വാമികളുടെ സന്ദേശങ്ങളെ മുഴുവൻ നമുക്ക് ചുരുക്കിയെടുക്കാൻ സാധിക്കും. ഒന്ന് കണ്ടപ്പോൾ തന്നെ ജോസഫിൻ മക്ലിയോടിന് മനസ്സിലായ കാര്യം, ഹൗ ഗ്രേറ്റ് ഐ ആം. വിവേകാനന്ദ സ്വാമികൾ വാചാലമായത് ഓരോ ജീവനിലും അടങ്ങിയിരിക്കുന്ന അപാര സാധ്യതകളെ കുറിച്ചാണ്. നഗരേഷ് ജി വിദ്യാഭ്യാസത്തിന്റെ വിവേകാനന്ദ സ്വാമികൾ നൽകിയത് ഇവിടെ പറയുകയുണ്ടായി. വിദ്യാഭ്യാസത്തിന്റെ ലക്ഷ്യം തന്നെ ഉള്ളിലുള്ള ഈ സാധ്യതകളെ ആവിഷ്കരിച്ചെടുക്കുക എന്നുള്ളതാണ്. Education is the manifestation of perfection already in man. മനുഷ്യരിലുള്ള പൂർണ്ണതയുടെ ആവിഷ്കാരമാണ് വിദ്യാഭ്യാസം. അവളിലുള്ള പൂർണ്ണതയെ ആവിഷ്കരിച്ചെടുക്കുക. അപ്പോൾ മാത്രമാണ് നമുക്ക് ഒരു വികസിത വ്യക്തിത്വം കൈവരിക്കാനാവുക. നമ്മളിപ്പോൾ അവികസിത വ്യക്തിത്വത്തിന് ഉടമകളാണ്. ഉള്ളിലെ അപാര സാധ്യതകളെ ആവിഷ്കരിച്ചെടുക്കുവാൻ കഴിയുമ്പോഴാണ് നമുക്ക് വികസിത വ്യക്തികളായി തീരാൻ സാധിക്കും. ഒരു വിദ്യാർത്ഥിക്ക് വികസിത വ്യക്തിയായി തീരാൻ കഴിയുകയാണെങ്കിൽ ആ വിദ്യാർത്ഥിക്ക് പിന്നെ ഭയം ഉണ്ടാവില്ല. എന്തിനേയും നേരിടാനുള്ള ഒരു കരുത്ത്, എന്തും നേടിയെടുക്കുവാനുള്ള ഒരു ആർജം ആ വിദ്യാർത്ഥിക്ക് ഉണ്ടാവും എന്നുള്ള കാര്യത്തിൽ സംശയമില്ല. അതുപോലെ ഒരു ആരോഗ്യ വിദഗ്ധൻ ഈ ഒരു വികസിത വ്യക്തിത്വം കൈവരികയാണ് എങ്കിൽ ഇന്ന് മലീമസമായിരിക്കുന്ന ഈ ആരോഗ്യ രംഗം ഒട്ടൊക്കെ ശുദ്ധീകരിക്കാൻ കഴിയുമായിരിക്കും. ഒരു ഡോക്ടർ ഇത്തരത്തിലൊരു വികസിത വ്യക്തിയായി തീരുകയാണെങ്കിൽ അത്രത്തോളം ജീർണതകൾ ആരോഗ്യ രംഗത്തിൽ നിന്നും തുടച്ചു മാറ്റുവാൻ അദ്ദേഹത്തിന് കഴിയുമായിരിക്കുന്നതായിരുന്നു. അവിടെയാണ് നിയമപാലകര് വിവേകാനന്ദ സ്വാമികളെ എങ്ങനെ ഉൾക്കൊള്ളണം എന്നുള്ള വലിയൊരു ചിന്ത നമുക്ക് മനസ്സിലാക്കുന്നത്. വിവേകാനന്ദ സ്വാമികളുടെ സന്ദേശങ്ങൾ മനസ്സിലാക്കുമ്പോൾ നാം തിരിച്ചറിയുന്ന ഒരു പ്രധാനപ്പെട്ട കാര്യം, നാം എല്ലാവരും ഒന്നാണ് എന്നുള്ള ഒരു സത്യമാണ്. ആ യാഥാർത്ഥ്യത്തെയാണ് നാം തിരിച്ചറിയുക. നാം എല്ലാം ഒന്നാണ്. എല്ലാ ധാർമ്മിക പാഠങ്ങളും ഈ ഒന്ന് എന്നുള്ള ആ ഒരു ആശയത്തെ കേന്ദ്രമാക്കിയുള്ളതാണ് എന്ന് നമുക്ക് മനസ്സിലാക്കാൻ സാധിക്കും. നാം ഒന്നാണ് എന്ന് വരുമ്പോൾ അതിന്റെ ഭാഗമാണ് നമ്മൾ. ഈ ചുറ്റുമുള്ളവരൊക്കെ നമ്മുടെ ഭാഗമാണ് എന്നുള്ള ചിന്തയാണ് നമുക്ക് തിരിച്ചറിയുവാൻ സാധിക്കുക. ആ യാഥാർത്ഥ്യത്തെയാണ് നമുക്ക് മനസ്സിലാക്കിയെടുക്കാൻ സാധിക്കുക. അപ്പം നമുക്ക് സ്വാഭാവികമായിട്ടും നമ്മുടെ ഉള്ളിൽ ഉയർന്നു വരുന്ന ചോദ്യം, ഈ ഒരു സത്യത്തെ, ഈ ഒരു യാഥാർത്ഥ്യത്തെ, നാം ഒന്നാണെന്നുള്ള ഈ യാഥാർത്ഥ്യത്തെ എങ്ങനെ മനസ്സിലാക്കിയെടുക്കുവാൻ സാധിക്കും, എങ്ങനെ പ്രാവർത്തികമാക്കുവാൻ സാധിക്കും? ഇത് പ്രാവർത്തികമാക്കിയില്ലെങ്കിൽ വലിയ അപകടമാണെന്നാണ് ഭഗവത്ഗീത പറയുന്നത്. കർമ്മണോ അന്യത്ര ലോകോയം കർമ്മ തദർത്ഥം കർമ്മകൗതയെ മുക്തസംഘ സമാജ. ഈ ഒരു ഒന്നെന്നുള്ള സത്യത്തെ മനസ്സിലാക്കി ആ ഒരു യാഥാർത്ഥ്യത്തെ സ്വാംശീകരിച്ചെടുത്തില്ല എങ്കിൽ ജീവിതം ജീർണതയിലേക്ക് പോകുന്നതായിരിക്കും എന്ന് ഭഗവത്ഗീത നമുക്ക് മുന്നറിയിപ്പ് നൽകി. അതിനാണ് വിവേകാനന്ദ സ്വാമിയുടെ ഒരു പദ്ധതി തന്നെ മനുഷ്യരാശി മുന്നിൽ വെക്കുന്നത്. ഈ ഒരു വികസിത വ്യക്തിത്വത്തെ, നാം ഒന്നാണ് എന്നുള്ള സത്യത്തെ തിരിച്ചറിയുവാനുള്ള ഒരു പദ്ധതി മനുഷ്യരാശിക്ക് മുമ്പിൽ വിവേകാനന്ദ സ്വാമികൾ വെക്കുന്നു. ഇതാണ് ആത്മനോമോക്ഷാർത്ഥം ജഗദ്ഗീതായ. അതായത് നാം നേടിയെടുക്കേണ്ടത് പരിപൂർണതയാണ്. നമ്മുടെ ഉള്ളിലെ സാധ്യതകളുടെ ആവിഷ്കരണമാണ്. നാം ഒന്നാണെന്നുള്ള ആ ഒരു വലിയ യാഥാർത്ഥ്യത്തെ തിരിച്ചറിയുകയാണ് ജീവിതം കൊണ്ട് നേടിയെടുക്കേണ്ടത് എങ്കിൽ അതെങ്ങനെ നേടിയെടുക്കുക എന്നുള്ള മാർഗത്തിൽ അടുത്ത ഭാഗം കൊണ്ട് വിവേകാനന്ദ സ്വാമി വിശദീകരിക്കുന്നു. ആത്മനോമോക്ഷാർത്ഥം ജഗദ്ഹിതായ. ജഗദ്ഹിതങ്ങളായ കർമ്മങ്ങൾ കൊണ്ട് ചുറ്റുമുള്ളവരെ സേവിക്കുന്നതിലൂടെ, മനുഷ്യ സേവ ചെയ്യുന്നതിലൂടെ നമുക്ക് ആ പൂർണ്ണതയെ ആവിഷ്കരിച്ചെടുക്കുവാൻ സാധിക്കുമായിരിക്കും. ഇവയാണ് അവനിവന് അറിയുന്നതൊക്കെ ഉണ്ടാൽ അവനിൽ ആദിമമായ ഒരു പാത്രത്തിലുണ്ട്. അതുകൊണ്ട് അവനവനാത്മസുഖത്തിന് ആചരിക്കുന്നവ അവരന്റെ സുഖത്തിനായി വരികയാണ് എന്ന് ഗുരുക്കന്മാർ നമുക്ക് പറഞ്ഞു തന്നിരിക്കുന്നു. അപ്പൊ ഇത്തരത്തിലൊരു വികാസം നാം ഒന്നാണ് എന്നുള്ള സത്യത്തെ തിരിച്ചറിഞ്ഞുകൊണ്ട് നമ്മുടെ ചുറ്റുമുള്ളവരെ ചേർത്ത് നിർത്തുന്ന ആ ഒരു വികാസം, വ്യക്തി വികാസം, ആ ഒരു വ്യക്തിത്വ നിർമ്മിതി അത് വെറുതെ പറഞ്ഞതുകൊണ്ടായില്ല. പരാകതിത്വകാരി വെറുതെ പറഞ്ഞുകൊണ്ടായില്ല. അത് നമ്മൾ പരിശീലിച്ചെടുക്കേണ്ടതായിട്ടുണ്ട്. ഇവിടെയാണ് വിവേകാനന്ദ പറയുന്നത്, ബി ആൻഡ് മേക്ക്. നമ്മൾ ആയിത്തീരണം, ആക്കിത്തീരണം, ലോകത്തെ ആക്കിത്തീരണം. വിവേകാനന്ദ വലിയൊരു സന്ദേശമാണ്. നമ്മൾ ആദ്യം ആയിത്തീരണം, എന്നിട്ട് ഈ ലോകത്തെ മുഴുവൻ ആക്കി തീർക്കേണ്ടിയിരിക്കുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ ഈ വ്യക്തിത്വ വികാസം ആർജിച്ചെടുത്താലുള്ള ഒരു മനസ്സിനെ നമുക്ക് എങ്ങനെ തിരിച്ചറിയുവാൻ സാധിക്കും? അതാണ് വികാസത്തിന്റെ മാനദണ്ഡം. വിവേകാനന്ദ സ്വാമികൾ പറയുന്നു, ആ വികാസത്തിന്റെ മാനദണ്ഡം നാം എപ്പോഴും നമ്മൾ പരിശീലിച്ചുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കേണ്ടതാണ്. അതിന്റെ മാനദണ്ഡം ക്യാൻ യു ലവ് അതേഴ്സ്, നിങ്ങൾക്ക് മറ്റുള്ളവരെ ചുറ്റുമുള്ളവരെ സ്നേഹിക്കാൻ സാധിക്കുന്നു. ക്യാൻ യു ഫീൽ വൺനെസ് വിത്ത് അതേഴ്സ്, നമുക്ക് മറ്റുള്ളവരുമായിട്ട് ഒരു താതാത്മ്യം പ്രാപിക്കുവാൻ കഴിയുന്നുണ്ടോ? ഹൗ യു പീസ് വിത്തിൻ യുവർസെൽസ് ആൻഡ് ഡു യു റേഡിയേറ്റ് ഇറ്റ് അറൗണ്ട് യു. അതാണ് ആ വികാസത്തിന്റെ മാനദണ്ഡമായിട്ട് നമുക്ക് മനസ്സിലാക്കാൻ സാധിക്കുന്ന കാര്യം. വിവേകാനന്ദ സ്വാമികൾ ചിക്കാഗോ പ്രസംഗത്തിലൂടെ അമേരിക്കക്കാരുടെ മനസ്സ് കീഴടക്കി എങ്കിൽ അദ്ദേഹത്തിന്റെ ആദ്യ അഭിസംബോധന തന്നെ അത്തരത്തിലുള്ള ഒന്നായിരുന്നു. അമേരിക്കയിലുള്ള എൻ്റെ സഹോദരി സഹോദരന്മാരെ, നാം ഒന്നാണെന്നുള്ള, നമ്മുടെ അച്ഛൻ ഒന്നാണെന്നുള്ള വലിയൊരു സത്യത്തെ അദ്ദേഹം പ്രഖ്യാപിക്കുകയും തികച്ചു വ്യത്യസ്തമായ പശ്ചാത്തലത്തിലുള്ളവരായിരുന്നു ആ ഹാളിലിരുന്നതെല്ലാവരും. അവരാദ്യമായിട്ടാണ് ഇങ്ങനൊരു അഭിസംബോധന കേൾക്കുന്നത്. അമേരിക്കയിലുള്ള എൻ്റെ സഹോദരി സഹോദരന്മാരെ, ഞാൻ ഒന്നാണ്, നാം ഒന്നാണ് എന്നുള്ള സത്യത്തെ തിരിച്ചറിഞ്ഞുകൊണ്ടുള്ള ഒരു അഭിസംബോധനയായിരുന്നു അത് എന്നുള്ള കാര്യം അവിടെ കൂടിയിരുന്നവർക്കെല്ലാം മനസ്സിലായി എന്നുള്ള ഒരു സത്യമാണ് നാം ഇതിൽ നിന്ന് മനസ്സിലാക്കേണ്ടത്. പ്രത്യേകിച്ച് ഇവിടെ നിയമം കൈകാര്യം ചെയ്യുന്നവര് ഈ വികാസം നേടിയെടുക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ, ഈ വ്യക്തിത്വ വികാസം നേടിയെടുക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ, അപ്പോൾ മാത്രമേ നിയമം കൈകാര്യം ചെയ്യുന്ന അഭിഭാഷകർക്ക് ഈ നാടിനെ സേവിക്കാൻ സാധിക്കും. യഥാർത്ഥത്തിൽ ഈ നാടിനെ സേവിക്കണം എന്നതിലേക്ക് ഈ വ്യക്തിത്വ വികാസം നേടിയെടുക്കേണ്ടിയിരിക്കുന്നു. ഇതിനാണ് വിവേകാനന്ദ സ്വാമികൾ പറയുന്ന മനുഷ്യ നിർമ്മാണം. ഇത്തരത്തിലുള്ള ഒരു മനുഷ്യ നിർമ്മാണമാണ് സമൂഹത്തിൽ നടക്കേണ്ടതായിട്ടുള്ളത്. ഓരോ വ്യക്തിയിലും നടക്കേണ്ടതായിട്ടുള്ളത് ഇത്തരത്തിലുള്ളൊരു വ്യക്തിത്വ നിർമ്മിതിയാണ്. നമുക്കറിയാം, ജുഡീഷ്യറി എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഈ നാടിന്റെ നെടുംതൂണാണ്. നിയമനിർമ്മാണവും ജുഡീഷ്യറിയും മാധ്യമങ്ങളും ഒക്കെ ഈ നാടിന്റെ തന്നെ നെടുംതൂണായിട്ട് നാം എണ്ണുമ്പോൾ ഇവിടെ നീതി നിലനിൽക്കേണ്ടത് വളരെ അനിവാര്യമായ ഒന്നാണ്. ഈ നാട് നിലനിൽക്കണമെന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ നീതി പുലരേണ്ടതായിട്ടുണ്ട്. അപ്പോൾ ഈ നിയമപാലകര്, ഈ നിയമം കൈകാര്യം ചെയ്യുന്നവര് ഇത്തരത്തിൽ വികസിത വ്യക്തികളാണ് എങ്കിൽ മാത്രമേ കോടതികള് മഹത്തായ സ്ഥാപനങ്ങളായി തീരുകയുള്ളൂ എന്നുള്ള കാര്യത്തിൽ യാതൊരു സംശയമില്ല. ജുഡീഷ്യറി ഒരു മഹത്തായ സ്ഥാപനമായി തീരണം എന്നത് എങ്കിൽ ഈ വികസിത വ്യക്തിത്വത്തെ ഓരോ അഭിഭാഷകരും നിയമപാലകരും സമ്പാദിക്കേണ്ടിയിരിക്കുന്നു. അപ്പൊ നമ്മൾ പറയുന്നു, പാർലമെന്റ്, നിയമനിർമ്മാണ സഭ രാജ്യത്തിന്റെ ഒരു നിർണായകമായ സ്ഥാനമാണ് എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ നാം ഒന്ന് പരിശോധിച്ചു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ മനസ്സിലാകും, ആ പാർലമെന്റ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് വെറും സിമന്റും മണലും കട്ടയൊക്കെയാണ്. യഥാർത്ഥത്തിൽ ആ പാർലമെന്റ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ആ നിയമനിർമ്മാണം നടത്തുന്ന പാർലമെന്റ് അംഗങ്ങളുടെ വ്യക്തിത്വത്തെ ആശ്രയിച്ചിരിക്കുന്നു. ഇത്തരത്തിൽ ഒരു ജുഡീഷ്യറി, ഒരു നാടിന്റെ ജുഡീഷ്യറി മഹത്തായ സ്ഥാപനമായി തീരുന്നത് ആ നിയമത്തെ കൈകാര്യം ചെയ്യുന്ന ആളുകളുടെ വ്യക്തിത്വം ഇത്തരത്തിൽ വികസിതമായ ഒരു തലത്തിലേക്ക് ഉയരുമ്പോൾ മാത്രമാണ് എന്നുള്ള കാര്യം ഓർമ്മപ്പെടുത്തുവാൻ ഞാൻ ആഗ്രഹിക്കുകയാണ്. ഒരു ഒന്ന് രണ്ട് പറഞ്ഞുകൊണ്ട് ഞാൻ എന്റെ കർത്തവ്യത്തിൽ വിരമിക്കുകയാണ്. നിയമപാലകരായിട്ടുള്ള ഓരോരുത്തരും അറിയേണ്ടതായിട്ടുള്ള കാര്യം, നമ്മുടെ മുമ്പിൽ വരുന്ന ഓരോരുത്തരുടെയും സുഖം, സുസ്ഥിതി, അത് അവർക്ക് കൈവരിക്കാനാവുന്നത് അവർക്ക് ഈ മാനസിക വികാസം, ഈ മനോവികാസം ഉണ്ടാകുമ്പോൾ മാത്രമാണ്. ഇതാണ് ഉപനിഷത്തുകളൊക്കെ പറയുന്നത്. ചന്ദ്രോപനിഷത്ത് പറയുന്നത്, യോവായി സുഖം ന അല്പേ സുഖമസ്തി. മനസ്സ് വികസിക്കുമ്പോൾ മാത്രമാണ് സുഖം ഉണ്ടാവുക. മനുഷ്യരാശി ഉപനിഷത്തിലൂടെ മനസ്സിലാക്കിയെടുത്ത വലിയൊരു കാര്യമാണ്. മനസ്സ് വികസിക്കുമ്പോൾ മാത്രമേ നമുക്ക് സുഖം ഉണ്ടാവുള്ളൂ, യഥാർത്ഥ സുഖം ഉണ്ടാവുള്ളൂ. നാം ഈ ലോകത്തിലെ ആളുകളെ മുഴുവൻ ചേർത്ത് നിർത്തുമ്പോൾ മാത്രമേ നമുക്ക് സുഖം ഉണ്ടാകുള്ളൂ. നമ്മുടെ മനസ്സ് എത്രത്തോളം ചുരുങ്ങുന്നു, നമ്മുടെ ദുഃഖത്തിലേക്ക് കൂപ്പുകുത്തുന്നതായിരിക്കും. അല്പേ സുഖമസ്തി എന്ന് ഉപനിഷത്ത് നമ്മളോട് പറഞ്ഞു തരുന്നു. അതുകൊണ്ട് ഈ വികസിത വ്യക്തിത്വം നേടിയെടുക്കുവാൻ നാം ഓരോരുത്തരും ഒരു ഉൾപരിവർത്തനം നടക്കേണ്ടിയിരിക്കുന്നു. ആ ഉൾപരിവർത്തനം ഉണ്ടാകുമ്പോഴാണ് നമുക്ക് മനസ്സിലാകുന്നത് we are the creators of our own destiny. നമ്മുടെ വിധി നിർണയിക്കുന്നത് നാം തന്നെയാണ് എന്നുള്ള ആ ഒരു വലിയ സന്ദേശത്തെ, വിവേകാനന്ദ സന്ദേശത്തെ നമുക്ക് മനസ്സിലാക്കാൻ സാധിക്കുന്നത് മാത്രമാണ്. ഇത്തരത്തിലുള്ള അപാര സാധ്യതകളാണ് ഓരോ വ്യക്തിയിലും കൂടിക്കൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്നത്. അപ്പോ ഓരോ അഭിഭാഷകൻ, ഓരോ നിയമപാലകൻ, നമ്മുടെ മുമ്പിൽ വരുന്ന ഓരോരുത്തർക്കും ഇത്രയും ഗംഭീരമായ സാധ്യതകളുണ്ട് എന്ന് മനസ്സിലാക്കുന്ന നമ്മളുടെ ഓരോ കർമ്മത്തിലും നിയമവുമായിട്ട് ബന്ധപ്പെട്ട ഓരോ തീരുമാനത്തിലും വലിയ ശ്രേഷ്ഠത കൈവരുന്നതാണ് എന്ന് മനസ്സിലാക്കാൻ സാധിക്കും. ഓരോ നാടിനും വ്യത്യസ്തമായ നിയമങ്ങൾ ഓരോ നാടിന്റെയും സ്വഭാവത്തിനനുസരിച്ച് മാറിക്കൊണ്ടിരിക്കും. പക്ഷെ നീതി എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഒരേ ഒരു കാര്യമാണ്. അതായത് ഓരോരുത്തർക്കും സുസ്ഥിതി ഉണ്ടാവുക എന്നുള്ളതാണ്. തനിക്കും ചുറ്റുമുള്ളവർക്കും ഒന്നാകെ സുസ്ഥിതി ഉണ്ടാവണം എന്നുള്ള ആ ഒരു തിരിച്ചറിവ് ഓരോരുത്തർക്കും ഉണ്ടാവേണ്ടതാണ്. അപ്പോൾ മാത്രമേ നമ്മുടെ തീരുമാനം സ്വതന്ത്രമാവുകയുള്ളൂ. ഒരു ജഡ്ജിയുടെ തീരുമാനം സ്വതന്ത്രമാവണം എന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ തനിക്കും ചുറ്റുമുള്ളവർക്കും സുസ്ഥിതി ഉറപ്പാവണം എന്നുള്ള ഒരു ബോധ്യം ആ വ്യക്തിത്വത്തിൽ ഉണ്ടാവേണ്ടതാണ്. അങ്ങനെ ആ ബോധ്യം ഉണ്ടാവണം എന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ നാം ഓരോരുത്തരും വികസിത വ്യക്തികളായി നേരിട്ടിരിക്കുന്നു. ആ വികസിത വ്യക്തിത്വം ഉണ്ടാകണം എന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ വിവേകാനന്ദ സന്ദേശത്തെ നാം സാക്ഷീകരിച്ചെടുക്കേണ്ടിയിരിക്കുന്നു. വികസിത വ്യക്തികളായി തീരുമാനം വിവേകാനന്ദ സന്ദേശങ്ങളെ സാംശീകരിച്ചെടുക്കാൻ ഉള്ള വലിയൊരു സാധ്യതയാണ് വിവേകാനന്ദ ജയന്തിയിലൂടെ ഉണ്ടാവേണ്ടത്. അത്തരത്തിൽ ഒരു വികസിതമായ വ്യക്തിതലത്തെ നാം ഏവർക്കും സ്വാംശീകരിച്ചെടുക്കുവാൻ സാധിക്കട്ടെ. അത്തരത്തിൽ നമ്മളുടെ ജുഡീഷ്യൽ അത്രയും ശ്രേഷ്ഠമായി തീരട്ടെ. അതുവഴി നമ്മുടെ നാട് സുശക്തമായി തീരട്ടെ എന്ന് ആശംസിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് നിർത്തുന്നു. നമസ്കാരം.
Thank you so very much, Swamiji, for that insightful speech and enlightening us with the teachings and preachings of Swami Vivekananda, which indeed paves path for us to self-introspect within ourselves. Now, as a token of respect and gratitude, I would like to call upon Advocate Amal and Advocate Geetanjali to kindly give mementos to Honorable Justice N. Nagesh sir and Swamiji. Well, that brings us to the culmination of today's program. Now, I would like to call upon Advocate Hemant to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good evening all. Today, I deem it a great honor and privilege to propose a vote of thanks in this memorable occasion. I take this opportunity to express my sincere gratitude and appreciation to all those who made this event such a positive outcome. To begin on behalf of this Young Lawyers Conference, I place on record our gratitude to Honorable Justice Nagaresh Sir for his generous support for this event. The specific speech on Swami Vivekananda gave us a depth insight to the prominence of the Swami teaches us. I would like to thank our chief guest, Swami Nadar Imajananda, who spread time from his busy schedule to grace this occasion. Next, I would like to thank Sri Vivek A. President of the ceremony, Sri B. Ashok, State General Secretary of the Bharatiya Vivaksha Parishad, Sri P. Venugopal, Secretary of the Bharatiya Vivaksha Parishad, High Court Unit. I would like to also express my sincere gratitude to honorable judges, senior advocates, and other dignitaries for their valuable presence. Last, not the least, I thank all of you present for your cooperations in making this function a resounding success. Once again, I thank all of you.
The next session will commence immediately. I invite Honorable Mr. Justice Shyam Kumar sir, Advocate Girija K. Govardhan, and Advocate C.R. Sarvati to the dais.
I now invite Advocate Rohit Karta to deliver the welcome address.
Good evening to all. This is the second session of the third Young Lawyers Conference organized by the Abhilasha Parishad. Now, in this conference, through this second session, we expect that we can learn something from the experiences of ones that have traversed the path before us. I shall now proceed with the formal welcome ceremony. Justice V.M. Shyamkumar. Justice V.M. Shyamkumar sir is a justice at this Honorable High Court of Kerala. He is a renowned expert in the field of maritime law. He has been the adjunct associate professor at NUVAS and also a guest faculty in various institutions, including USAT. I welcome you, sir. Advocate Girija K. Govardhan. Advocate Girija K. Govardhan was is a prominent advocate at the High Court of Kerala. She was a special government leader and also a central government counsel for various institutions, including BSNL, yes, Power Grid Corporation of India, and also the Standing Council for Yes Bank and she has always been an inspiration for the young lawyers. At this court, I welcome you. Advocate Srilal Varya. Srilal Varya is an advocate at the High Court of Kerala. He is also an arbitrator, mediator, conciliator at the High Court of Kerala. He is a faculty at various judicial institutions. Further, he is the Special Public Prosecutor for CBI and the Senior Central Government Standing Counsel for various institutions. I welcome you, sir. Further, I welcome other members in the dais, respected judges in the audience, respected seniors in the audience, and my dear colleagues. I shall take leave so that the session may begin. Thank you.
Thank you, Rohit, for a warm welcome to our distinguished panelists. Let us now commence the panel discussion. I would like to welcome the first panelist, Honorable Justice Mr. Shyamkumar VM Sir. Born in 1973, he graduated from the Government Law College, Ernakulam, and was enrolled as an advocate in 1996. He honed his expertise under renowned legal luminaries, including his father, T. Gopuma Sir, and senior advocate S. Venkateswaran Sir. Honorable Justice has a strong academic background, having obtained an LLM in Maritime Law from Cochin University of Science and Technology. He was a distinguished maritime lawyer with over 2 decades of experience. He has shared his knowledge as an adjunct associate professor at Murals and as guest faculty in various esteemed law schools, including the National Law School of India University, Bangalore, and the Indian Maritime University. Sa has also had his fair share of challenges and hurdles to battle. As a son of an eminent advocate, he could have done it the easy way and followed his father's footsteps. But Sa chose a different path and decided to pursue maritime law, which was a subject only few dipped their toes into. Not only did he excel in this area, he became one of the top names in the country. And with that, I would like to welcome Sa to start this session. Sir, please.
Pujyaniya Swamiji, senior advocates, my dear young lawyer friends. When this idea was mooted and I was contacted by the organizers, I said that there is no better day to talk to young lawyers than on a Vivekananda Jayanti. The reason is that my own little understanding about the great Indian monk has been that he has been so industrious a person, as Pujyaniya Swamiji was pointing out. Within a short span of 32 years, he had achieved something that would take people generations to achieve. So, industry, which is a quality that a young lawyer should acquire, is something that we can see in abundance in Swami Vivekananda. Next, I had asked Krishna as to what exactly would this PAIR Act mean. And I was rather under the impression that each of us would be talking on one statute each, or one PAIR Act each. And it is only 2 days back she told me that this is rather a session where you are supposed to bear on and tell, or rather converse with the new youngsters as to how you pass through your life up till now. The next doubt that I had in my mind is, why me? Because I look upon many of the senior lawyers here and many of the senior judges here as my role models. And the paths that they had taken in their career are very checkered and illustrious, compared to which I had led a very insignificant professional life. But the reason, I guess, and I would rather say that this is the only reason I am standing here, would be that I had the opportunity to teach students for around 25 years of my professional career. So I may be the judge who would be very close to the youngsters today and may be able to understand them better and may be able to talk in a language which they may be able to understand, for the reason that I've been in constant contact with youngsters for the last around 25 years. I would rather say that my professional practice was equally shared between advocacy as well as academic endeavors. I thought that rather than coming here and sermonizing and advising you as to how you should go through your life as a lawyer, I should be sharing with you the mistakes that I made so that you don't have to make those mistakes all over again. So rather than what you should be doing, I would just be conveying to you what I did and what mistakes I did. Comparatively, I should say that I didn't have much of the trials or tribulations as was pointed out, which is to be explained here. I had a rather comfortable life in the sense that my father was already a lawyer. And the sole reason as to why I chose this profession, to be very frank, is because I was not good at anything else. I had genuinely wanted to be a veterinary doctor, and that was my ambition in life because of my profound love to the animal world. And I wrote the exams twice, and I didn't make it through. And since my father was a lawyer, and he had a large office at that point of time, finally having tested out veterinary science and failed at it, or attempt to get into it, my mother, being a professor of physics, decided that she should make a physicist out of me. And at that point of time, we had this second group for pre-degree, and I could study maths as an additional subject. And I was compelled to study maths, and I failed in it miserably. And I couldn't make it through the engineering stream also. Insofar as this is a bear-all session, I think that I should bear everything from the bottom of my heart. So that is how I realized that the third stream of professional education that is open to me would be rather suitable for me because my father had an office and I could lead a very comfortable life. Since I had an office, he would introduce me into the profession. I had the files ready. My father at that point of time had nearly 14 to 15 juniors. They would be taking care of the work. I can just have a fun time. After completing my 5-year LLB and enrollment was done on January 7th, 1996, if I remember. The first day in court at around 7 o'clock in the morning, my father came and asked me, "Aren't you going to the office?" So I was hoping that I would go to the office along with him in his car. He said, "From here on, you should be reaching the office at 7:30 in the morning." Before he reaches. And I used to take a bus. I used to take 2 buses to go to Ayyanur in Thrissur. And I was the first person who would be entering the office. And invariably, I would be the last person to leave it also because my father said, I can leave only by 8 o'clock. So within around 2 or 3 months of time, I realized that this is not going to be the better process that it is going. I hope it would be. And there were also some instances that happened in the courts, which my father advised me to take care of. For example, I should tell you that after my assigned work was over, I would rather immediately go back to the association, change my dress, and would rather have some fun with the student, my fellow lawyers there, because most of my classmates were lawyers there. Once my father saw this, and he said that if you are during the court hours, I should not see you in any other dress than in lawyer's robes. If you are entering into the court complex, you should be wearing the lawyer's robes. And secondly, he said, I don't want to see you in any canteens or loitering around in the clerks association hall or anywhere. After your work is over, you have to be back in some other court and watch over the proceedings there. I understand that, and the reasoning that he gave for this is, you are being watched. This is what I was trying to convey. And after nearly 25 years of practice, or rather 27 or 30 years of practice, I realized the value of the words that he conveyed. We are the representatives of the profession, and we are being watched. Whatever we could do prior to our entering into this profession is no longer an option for us to do now. People look at us, assess us, and form an opinion about the entire profession and the judicial system by looking at the way in which we work, we talk, and we behave. So there is no possibility for an easy, relaxed life, a wayward or rather loitering around. It has to be a scheduled, strict, disciplined life that one has to lead. Obviously, at that point of time, this was not something that was palatable to me. I was looking out for an opportunity to somehow get away from the office of my father, to be very frank. I was told by one of my father's juniors who had completed an LLM in maritime law that there is a maritime law course that is being offered by the Cochin University of Science and Technology. I seized the opportunity, went for the exam and joined there. After completing my two-year LLM in maritime law, I had to go back to Thrissur. So that's something that I never wanted to do. So I said I would rather explore the possibilities of maritime law somewhere else. And that's how I ended up in Bombay. What I'm trying to convey is, what I did in my life was not a pre-chartered or pre-planned course. All these things happened in its time and in its convenience. There I had the benefit of being with a senior who created a lasting impression on me. And that was S. Venkateswaran, who was a senior advocate in Bombay, who had, at that point of time, when I reached there, I'm not saying this in terms of money, but he was the highest income tax payer among the professionals in Bombay. And he had started off the month. Yes, okay, sorry. And he would tell me, and especially since he was from Thrissur, he had a liking for me, and he would take me around Bombay and tell me that he had just 2 shirts and 2 pants to wear. And he was a junior to the great barrister, Rajni Patel. And Rajni Patel would insist that he should accompany him to the courts early in the morning. So he would say that many a times he couldn't dry the coats that he had washed the earlier day, and he would dry it with an iron box. That's the situation that he started off. At the time when I was with him, he had 2 Mercedes Benzes and a BMW in office. But he would say that all this was sheer hard work. And he asked me as to why I am in Bombay. He said, your father is there, your mother is, at that point of time, my mother was not keeping well also, and he came to know about it. So he advised me to go back, and he suggested that I go back and be in Cochin. That explains how I happened to come back to Kochi. So when compared with the trials and tribulations that others would have faced in life, I would say that I had a very smooth sail, nothing much challenging about it. As regards personal experiences and the mistakes that I have encountered in my life, I would say that I sincerely wish I read more while I was in the college. Many a times that may be one reason as to why I have been selected to talk to you, because I should be answerable to the students whom I have taught. I can find that some of my students are here. Reading is the main thing that a lawyer may have to do. After around 3 decades in practice, I sincerely wish that I did more systematic reading at the time when I was a junior lawyer. And I wish that I remained in courts. I can just share with you one example. When I was in Bombay, there would be lawyers and shipping, it was mainly a shipping office, ship owners coming from different parts of the world to interact with my senior. And the senior would say, whenever a client is in my room, you can walk in and sit through the discussion. We were a bunch of lawyers who had just reached Bombay. All of us were young. We would rather sit and chit chat in the conference hall rather than go and witness how my senior was interacting with them and how he was taking down instructions from them. I remember at that point of time, Adani and company and all coming so as to take his legal opinion. And now I recollect with great sorrow the fact that I did not go and attend these discussions, even though I had an opportunity to do that. My senior would say, whenever your work is over, please come and sit in my court and see how I am arguing. Many a times I didn't do that. So I guess that these are some of the mistakes that I did, which I don't want you to repeat. We have to gain an exposure to the wonderful world of law. And this can be done mainly by 3 things. One is to read, second is to think, and the third is maybe speak or write. These are essentially the 3 things that we need to do. For these 3 things to be done, the common tool is language. And fortunately or unfortunately, the tool for us is English language. We don't have an option but to improve our thinking skills, writing skills, and communicating skills in English. I was a student in a public school where Hindi and English were taught in Malayalam. We never had that's something that I find different in the youngsters now, because most of the youngsters that I've taught in these national law schools, they had better English than me. They would communicate well in this language, much better than I could possibly do. That is a positive aspect that I find in the youngsters today. And I find that there are many of them who have decided to make litigation as their way of life forward as a lawyer, rather than going in for an employment in a company. They are willing to work very hard, unlike what I used to be as a youngster. So I say this hoping that there would be somebody sitting in the back, just as I used to, as a diffident, rather introvert student who was so unsure and uncertain once I left my father's office. I remember after returning from Bombay and starting practice here, when our friends used to get together, we used to talk to each other. Who on earth is going to give us a file or a brief? Who knows us? Nobody knows us. But looking back at those years, 30 years back, I feel that all that one need to do, and I say this with great emphasis, is that you don't have to scout for work. Many a times youngsters believe that work has to be procured. I can assure you from my own experience that it is not at all necessary. And it is not that work comes because people know about you or the general public knows about you. Work comes to you mainly through your own clients and through your own fellow lawyers. It is your own fellow fraternity of lawyers who would speak good things about you and bring work or suggest you as a competent person, for which you need to prove yourself as a reliable lawyer, which can be done only with a disciplined and a well-structured life, I would say. I say life for the reason that that takes me to the next aspect where I missed. That is one of health. We have to take care of your health, especially the young lawyers, because this is a profession that demands substantial physical exertion, even though we may not understand it at this point of time. I used to wonder as to why my senior wakes up at 3:30 in the morning. And he used to take good care of his health and also his mind. And he kept on reading. I never saw him, even while he was traveling, he would carry a book to read. The reason I say this is, we have to structure our daily life in such a way that we lead a disciplined life. And I would personally suggest to youngsters here who are too young, not to the others, that it's ideal to wake up in the morning and do some physical strenuous exercises. I won't say that I did this, but now with the benefit of hindsight, I would say that this is something that would keep you in good state later on in life. Next is mind. I can understand that this is not that you would have expected me to talk to you about, but I feel that health, mind, and thinking capacity to think analytically, the critical analysis capacity that one has to develop. It is not something that you are born with. I sincerely wish that I had done a structured way of reading. Many a times in my academic pursuits, I have come across students who they would call it reading in law, just as we would say studying in the law college. They won't say studying in the law college or in the law school. They would say, I am reading in law, which essentially means it's a process of continuous reading that they are doing, mainly in Oxford and in foreign universities. What I have found substantially different from me and my students is that by around 18 years, they have completed all the reading the classics in English language, and also to a certain extent Latin and also Greek, at least the main legends or rather the classics therein. We wouldn't have done that at all. I'm sure about it. How many of us have read War and Peace? How many of us have read Othello? How many of us have completed the Shakespeare's dramas? I say this only for the reason that they are far ahead of us. If we are put against them, because this is a small world, in 10 years' time, they are going to be here. How prepared are we to deal with them? I remember when I came back from Bombay and joined the Southern Law Chambers, there is this practice of everybody who joins Southern Law Chambers going and taking blessings from our senior's senior, who was there at that point of time, around 93, 94 years old. That was under senior advocate Balagangadhara Menon. Some of you would have seen him. And I went, so I too had to go, and I went. He stays near the Varian Road, the grand old man, and he said, okay, you are the new boy in Southern Law Chambers. Yes. And he asked me, what's your story? Where are you from? And what's your educational background? And I just told all these things, my visit to Bombay and my maritime law background and all. Then he told me, I entered law when I was a citizen of Cochin State. I took my law degree hoping that I will be able to practice in Ernakulam, that is the High Court, the only small city, small native state of Cochin. Madras was beyond my dreams. Now you have taken a degree in maritime law. You have the whole world open before you. You can go to Bombay and practice in the Mecca of maritime law. You have chosen to come back to Cochin. Why? I was here all through because I didn't have an option. Because by the time I made a name for myself, of course the state of Kerala had been formed, but I couldn't move out from here because my roots had already been grown here. But why do you come back to Cochin? I guess that is a question that we all should be asking ourselves again now, because the opportunities that are there for us out are so elaborate. The only question is, are we equipped for it? So as I was pointing about health and mind and reading and analytical thinking, I would suggest that all those youngsters here, something that I think that I should have done and which I didn't do and I repent not to have done, is to keep a diary or rather a journal reading, which my professor had suggested at the time when I was a student, of reading one judicial decision a day. That is all. He would suggest, read one judgment a day and write the name of the judgment and the citation in the journal, and preferably do it before you go to sleep, because this is a very good sleep inducer also. Because by the time you start reading the judgment, by around 3 or 4 pages, you would have slept. Anyway, please write the name and keep it. I was wondering, it was not a big thing to do, something that would have been done. That could have enriched my knowledge regarding the precedents and the judicial decisions substantially, which I didn't do. So I would suggest that please contemplate of doing such things, having a scheduled, strict and disciplined life, because we follow the Anglo-Saxon jurisprudence. Please always remember this. And if you look at the lives of great judges from England, or even judges of the yesteryears in the presidential towns of Bombay, Calcutta and Madras, we would realize that these people led a very disciplined, planned life. And this is a profession which would require you to channel your powers and your capacities in such a way that you will have to chalk out a course for yourself, anticipating the future, maybe 10 years or 15 years ahead. Please contemplate as to where you want to be 15 years from now and start working towards it. I say this not because I did it. I say this because I didn't do it. And I think and I wish I did that. And the last aspect that I would suggest is to keep that yearning for knowledge always alive. As Swamiji was pointing out, the thirst for knowledge. ശരിക്കും ഈ എടശ്ശേരി ഗോവിന്ദൻ നായരുടെ ചില കവിതകൾ പറയുന്നു, വിജ്ഞാനമെന്ന് വിളിച്ചു പോരും ആത്മാവിനുള്ള അസ്വസ്ഥതയെ, ആ വളർച്ചയ്ക്കെഴും വെമ്പലിനെ, ആ പൂർണ്ണതയ്ക്കുള്ള തേങ്ങലിനെ. വിജ്ഞാനത്തെ അദ്ദേഹം നിർവചിക്കുന്നത് അങ്ങനെയാണ്. ആത്മാവിനുള്ള അസ്വസ്ഥതയായിട്ടാണ് വിജ്ഞാനത്തെ. ഇറ്റ് ഇസ് എ ഡിസ്കംഫർട്ട് വി വാണ്ട് ടു ഗെറ്റ് ഓവർ. ആ പൂർണ്ണതയ്ക്കുള്ള തേങ്ങലിനെ, there was a reference by Swamiji to പൂർണ്ണത, because പൂർണ്ണതയ്ക്കുള്ള തേങ്ങലാണ് വിജ്ഞാനത്തിലേക്കുള്ള യാത്ര. So this endeavor, സാധാരണ ഇന്ത്യൻ സംസ്കാരത്തില് നേതി നേതി എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് നമ്മൾ അന്വേഷിച്ചു പോകണം എന്ന് പറയും. So this quest for knowledge will have to be retained all through the life. And there is no other option for us but to read, read, and read. So I hope that I've conveyed. I have only 10 minutes time that has been granted, and I think that I've exceeded it. And my life is so simple and it doesn't have much to talk beyond 10 minutes. Thank you very much. All the best.
Thank you, sir, for those pearls of wisdom. And thank you for sharing those mistakes which would in turn become our corrections. And also the jewel in the crown, which is a question that remains in the minds of many lawyers. Where does work come from? Thank you, sir, for answering that valuable question. That is, work comes from our own fraternity. We go out in search of work, but sir, you have answered that riddle for us today. Thank you, sir. And also thank you for reminding us of the value and the importance of health, both physical and of the mind. Thank you, sir. I now have the privilege of inviting Advocate Girija K. Gopal, who is an erudite practitioner of the law with 28 years of practice before the Honorable High Court, various tribunals, and trial courts. Girija Madam began her practice in the courts of Palakkad in January of 1995 and has since journeyed her way to the Honorable High Court of Kerala, where she would become one among the most respected and honored lady advocates in active practice today. As the special government leader to the Advocate General Kerala, as the standing counsel of Chavakad Municipality, as the counsel for Yes Bank, as the central government standing counsel in the Central Administrative Tribunal, and at present as the standing counsel for BSNL, Advocate Girija Madam comes before us with a vast pool of experience and insight. Furthermore, Girija Madam is a second-generation lawyer whose father, late Advocate N. Gopal Menon, who inspired her to embark on the journey of the black and white. Girija Madam is married to Mr. Gopal Kongot, who is a chartered accountant, and they are both blessed with a daughter, Gayatri Gopal, who is a PR student. With this short introduction, I invite Girija Madam to share her experience at the bar and enlighten the young minds present here.
Good evening, my dear sisters and brothers. To be true to my soul, I really am at loss of words having heard Justice Shyam Kumar speak thus far. And I think definitely I cannot be any way interesting more than him. Anyway, thank you very much, Nitish, for the generous introduction. Thank you, Advocate Kiran and other office bearers of Abhivashana Parishad for having invited me to such a function where we get ourselves inspired by the legacy of Swami Vivekananda. I'm sure that compared to the incredible stories of other panelists of the day, and most of whom who are senior sitting in front of me, my experience both as an individual and as a lawyer would seem minuscule. And I'm really humbled to be standing here before you to be counted as one of the speakers. To be very honest, when I was given a broad outline of what I should speak for the day, I felt I'm going to write an autobiography, which in most cases would not be of interest to others, and it is very personal to the one who writes the autobiography. I know it's late evening, and I don't want to hold you all back for a long time, since this time slot allotted to me is only 10 minutes. So I should have a quick walkthrough of my personal journey, both as an individual as also a lawyer. And I would also admit that I prefer to be in a conversation on a heart-to-heart basis than be a broadcaster. So to begin, though it is apt for many people to say that they romanticize their childhood, there was nothing such special for me about my childhood. Born as the youngest among the three daughters, I was never treated even in my family like a girl based on the stereotyped expectations and assumptions of how a girl should be. So much so, I've never been that soft and sweet-natured girl as well. When it was my mother, who was an extremely pious lady and the humblest of souls, who taught me the alphabets of both life and language. It was my father who prompted the lawyer in me. Yes, the credit of steering me into this profession goes to my father, who was particular about my speech and tried to get me into the best convent school he could, so that I could learn English and speak English as my native language. The motivation given by my father, quite from my school days, was such that it was from him that I first heard the inspiring message of Swami Vivekananda that what we need now are men and women with muscles of iron and nerves of steel, inside which dwells a mind of the same material as that of which the thunderbolt is made. I have repeatedly heard this message, my father saying by heart, which has left an indelible impression in me and which has affected me, my thought process in the years to come. So elocution, debates, and public speaking were things that I would enroll at even in school. And my first address at the Republic Day function in school when I was a student of 5th standard is the most memorable event that I cherish even today. Not having tutors or Toastmasters club as we have today, I used to tune into the radio and the television to hear the masters of those times so that I could correct my pronunciation, improve my vocabulary, and the style of rendition as well. This is All India Radio, the news read by Spurti Sangha. In fact, these are the words I heard as a child that inspired me to read out newspaper aloud as if I am a newsreader. I began in school with small events like reading news in the assembly, being a part of the debating club and so on. And it was then that I realized that I had a blessing of not so feminine a sound, which I really enjoyed. And in fact, it was in those days that I first realized my inclination to study law as well. It wouldn't be out of place to say that even when we believe that each person has the freedom to think and act appropriately, which in turn would decide his fate, it would be a folly or vanity to ascribe one's achievements as entirely due to his efforts and merit, since many a result is always conditioned by the circumstances over which we have no control. In fact, it has been my consistent experience that I have never achieved anything by sheer luck. instead has lost many an opportunity solely for not having the right person at the right time. Whenever one is born in a family where he has opportunities that are denied to others, we see that his destiny does not depend on his volition. But when the choice to act within those limitations in any particular manner would depend on oneself, it would definitely determine his path. You may wonder why I made such a statement. It is for no other reason that I made such a statement, but it had been my experience throughout. Yes, though born to a lawyer father, I was not blessed to enjoy the benefits thereof, since my father had been bedridden due to rheumatoid arthritis, even when I was in school. Though bedridden, he possessed such willpower that would not allow him to succumb to fatigue. And despite adversities, my parents gave all the three daughters good lessons, not only in good schools, but also in life, which is the greatest inheritance any child can expect. It was on 29/1/1995 that I got enrolled as an advocate and just started my journey into the world of law, a path I've chosen with both determination and certainty. After a short stint of practice at Palakkad on the civil side, by an unexpected stroke of fate, I shifted to Ernakulam so that I could pursue LLM at the Government Law College, as also practice in the High Court simultaneously, as could be then done. Though I came to Ernakulam with much expectation, of course, with the conviction that my academic credentials would well be counted, soon I sadly realized the disadvantage of being a woman. The fact that I was refused to be accommodated by even two designated senior advocates, solely for the reason that I am a lady, was more than I could contain. But I did not permit my confidence to be lowered by such rejection. I kept motivating myself, reassuring that one day would come when I will make a mark in the profession and see that those who rejected me do acknowledge me. And believe me, such a day did come actually when, after hearing my arguments in a court in a second appeal, the subject matter of which was a partition suit, documents being of the year 1925 and 56, and the numerals being in Malayalam lipi. That in the course of my argument, I heard the very same senior counsel, who was a man of less words, call me aloud, this was the tone with which he called me back. And after I handed over, it was not his case, he was in no way involved. He took the document from me, had a scan of it, gave it back to me. He did not say anything further, but the judge concerned was not in my favor then. Appeal being a partition suit where the question involved was whether it was Makatayam or Manamakatayam that was followed by the parties concerned. The very next day, when the senior happened to spot me, he called me aside and said, definitely in the very same tone as he had asked me for the papers, yesterday your opponent was too good that he could not beat you. And if in case you don't win this appeal, you should definitely file an AFA and come to me, I shall guide you. And let me tell you, that judge is prejudiced for the reason that he is not married and he is a Manavakatai. So that was one day which I tell you, which is in my memory so clear that made me feel that yes, I have brought myself up to the expectation of my parents. I have become a lawyer worth being acknowledged, though I was refused entry into many an offices here at the first instance. I'm sure I'm not citing this to blow my trumpet. I know very well that I'm not here to blow my trumpet. But I'm only to point out this incident to tell juniors that don't be dejected, whatever be the adversity that you face in the start of your career. A day will come when you will definitely be acknowledged. Maybe you will have days to wait. You may find those backbenchers in your class being acknowledged, they being prosperous in the profession. Probably your integrity or your lack of ability to fish for files may not have reached you at the position you wanted to. But definitely hard work and integrity would definitely pay us in the long run. This had been my experience till date. And going back to my earlier years, though I was refused an entry in many offices for the fact of being a girl, as destiny would have it, not much later, I was accommodated in the office of Advocate B. Suresh Kumar, with whom I had no previous acquaintance thus far. As I stepped into the bustling corridors of the courtrooms of the then Majestic High Court complex, questions like how I would compete with such seasoned advocates here, would I be able to navigate the big ocean of High Court, etc. Such thoughts did flood my mind. And the real challenges began to surface when I immersed deeper into the profession. Each day brought me new lessons, from the intricacies of case preparation to the nuances of courtroom etiquette. It appeared to be a world vastly different from the textbooks in college, and more so my performance in the moot courts, in which I had participated as a student of law. But all that anxieties soon turned into one of confidence when my senior started giving me the exposure to appear before various benches, including that of the Chief Justice then. The confidence he gave me was such that he would entrust me with any case by saying, go and argue. If you win the case, take the credit for yourself. If you lose the case, I shall take the responsibility. Definitely, these words did real magic in me. Even the most toughest of cases in the office was entrusted to me by my senior then, irrespective of what the fate of the case would be. And from there started my real journey as a lawyer, and I never had to look back since then. Even amidst trials, I should say, there were moments of clarity and triumph also as a junior lawyer. Though it is impossible for me to recount my very fulfilling experiences. And even if I could, I'm sure, would be of no interest to others. I think I must make a reference to one or two vivid instances, which has really boosted my confidence. One incident was on the 20th of July, 1999, on which date I was appearing before the court of Chief Justice. Justice Sri Krishna was the Chief Justice then, and appearing in a case arguing against Advocate V. Giri, who later turned out to be a judge of this court. Both of us being persons with loud voice, Justice Krishna was enjoying the tussle between us. After which he made a statement. I'm sure that Giri and Girija would have created the very same confusion for the court below also. At which point of time, I saw a senior lawyer sitting beside me, asking somebody, what is the name of this girl? Little did he know me. And of course, he couldn't ask me also, since I was in the train of arguments. Then I saw him tearing a piece of paper from his dockets. And after my case was over, he handed over that piece of paper to me, which I have preserved till date, and I have it with me even now. I was showing it to my junior colleague today, in which it was written, you were arguing very well, and I was enjoying listening to your arguments. The senior lawyer was then none other than Advocate George Varghese Kannanthanam, who is the father of our Jose Kannanthanam sir. And I had such instances were gathered for me as a junior. The next one, yet another incident which I clearly recollect is when I had an occasion to argue before Justice Kamath and Justice Sridevi, who is the mother of Justice Basant Balaji. I was a fresher then. I did not have much idea even about how I should be behaving in court as well. And I had heard Justice Basant was a taskmaster and a person who was very particular even about accent and grammar in English. And it was around 12:30. I was a respondent in an arbitration MFA against me was Menon and Pai. Fortunately or unfortunately for me, the other side was not there. Justice Kamath, when the matter was called, Justice Kamath asked for the petition appellant and seeing that nobody was there, asked who was for the respondent. I got up and I said, I am for the respondent. And I kept quiet, thinking that it wouldn't be proper for me to argue without the appellant being there. Then Justice Kamath wanted me to narrate the facts. I did not open the bundle, I narrated the facts, then he asked me for the legal position. Fortunately for me, I had gone through. And I said, this is the legal position, this is the judgment covering the issue. Then he said, okay, since appellant is not there, you come in the afternoon. Matter was posted at 1:45. When I came back at 1:45, Justice Kamath asked the appellant's counsel, look here, do you know these are the facts? Have you gone through the judgment? That is a judgment which is emanated in a case from your own office. And somehow the judgment was, definitely it was in my favor because it was a cover judgment. After which he asked me, he was a very tough person with no smiling face. You are Girija. Then I got up with, with trepidation, and I thought, oh, this is my day. I would have said something which was uncomfortable for him. Then he asked me, you are a rank holder for LLB. I said, yes. You are a winner of various moot competitions. I said, yes. And it was evident from my face that I was not feeling comfortable or happy, but I was again fear. Then he said, come with a case where you can argue in detail. We are happy to hear him. To be very honest, let me tell you, such encouragement had really bloomed the lawyer in me. I do not know how many juniors today would have such privileges. Apart from the encouragement that I got, particularly I should say from judges then, even senior lawyers would encourage us by supplementing points and case laws when we present a case. And the encouragement that we get, the boost that we get from such, though it may be little acts from the side of the seniors, the net result of which was so fulfilling to us that we feel prompted to remain in the profession despite adversities. And in yet another instance which I should say that really had given me satisfaction is when I was a special government leader to the Advocate General. I had the opportunity in a case where a general comment was made against all the government leaders. I was given the task of representing all the government leaders and to argue party in person removing my dog before a bench. That experience, let me tell you, is so memorable to be representing 110 government leaders. The cause of 110 government leaders who were being uncharitably criticized by a judge. So the net result of what I'm trying to point out is, juniors, I should definitely, all the encouragement that the juniors get, it definitely goes a long way in really building the lawyer in them. And for which I expect that the judges here, in fact, I should with all humility should say that the recognition that we got as juniors from the bench and the seniors is not one thing that is being enjoyed by juniors today. But take every opportunity. I would ask every junior member of the bar to take every opportunity to go and interact with seniors, take guidance from them, and see that it definitely, it will, one way or the other, it will definitely help us in the long way. And coming back to my personal story, my early days in the profession was one of relentless hard work. Those were the days when one independent file a month meant a great deal to me, since the same could be utilized to pay my hostel fees and meet other personal expenses by not having required to ask from my father. Looking back, I feel I have always felt that such financial difficulties has done me a lot of good, since there is no better incentive to work hard and achieve success at the bar than those initial tribulations. I'm sure, had I been with a golden spoon, given the lazy nature I have, I must confess that I would not have reached thus far in the profession. I should also say that under the tutelage of late senior advocate Patros Matai and late advocate KP Dandapani, and as also Sumati Madam, I have honed my skills and developed a deeper knowledge of understanding law's application in real life. These mentors have become a beacon of guidance to weather the storms of this tumultuous profession. As Sumati Madam would often say, you would know what exactly are the rigors of this profession once you turn independent. True to her word, it was in July 2005, armed with a newfound confidence and a small roster of clients, that I made the pivotal decision to establish my own practice. It was with a leap of faith in the unknown that I charted my career as a solo practitioner. The autonomy of running an office independently came with its share of challenges as well. And I had to become architect of my own destiny, responsible for every act of client representation and case management. Sleepless nights, anxiety of uncertain outcome, and constant pressure to prove myself as a good lawyer in this competitive field became my routine. And despite the hurdles, I have come thus far. I should also say that one cannot predict how unexpected turn of events influence one's whole career. And that is what precisely happened to me when I was chosen as the Special Government Leader to Advocate General by the then Advocate General, late Sri K.P. Dandapani. One remarkable aspect that I learned as a government leader was that I could get at the root of every case in a manner faster than I could do as a lawyer on my own. Because my and innumerable and often irrelevant are placed before you when you are a government leader, from which you have to sift chaff from the grain. My experience as a government leader is so invaluable, and the experience I gained from being a government leader in the first court when His Lordship Justice Ashok Bhushan sir was there and Her Lordship Madam Manjula Chelur was there, gave me such insights as to how a judge should conduct a court as well. Not only that, how a lawyer should respond to a judge's query, but how a judge should conduct as well. I say this with all the responsibility because I am sure Justice Shyam Kumar and Srilal sir would also endorse to this fact. The court of Justice Ashok Bhushan sir was the Chief Justice's court, which I'm sure we probably had not had in the near past. I'm sorry to say that, but that was a fact. And it was such an enriching experience for me. And now I do realize the time slot having been given to me being 10 minutes. It is time for me to sum up. But before which, I really thought I should give some pieces of advice to my younger friends at the bar. In fact, not pieces of advice. I would say it is a request from many senior members of the bar to communicate to you. The younger members of the bar today are very blessed that you are very good at technology, that you are very good at language, and your confidence level is such that we can never match you near. But fact remains, the elder generation today, I should be telling you very frankly because the elder generation today feels that your confidence level many times in board is reaching such a level of arrogance that the junior members often forget basic discipline in board manners. Not only that, your style of submission it becomes arrogant. In fact, I would admit, if I am to look back at myself and ask, what is the mistake that I did in the profession? I could have been making, I wouldn't say that being tempted is a good argument, style of argument. I would also not say that being submissive is a good art, but I could have been making submissions instead of making arguments. Because whenever I have tried to make a point through argument with a judge, I have never ever succeeded. And I'm telling you, my dear younger friends, this is a piece of advice that I have to give you. Never ever argue with a judge. Because we in our younger days were always warned, you can afford to lose 100 cases, but not a single judge. And yet another thing, your appearance in court is one thing which I would ask the younger members of the bar to be more careful of. I'm sure many of you may disagree with me in making such statements even, but then the way you present in court carries much weight. You are not only being watched, you should understand that you are not only being watched by the judge sitting there on the dais, but you are also being watched by other members of the bar, your client, as also other clients. And unless you behave in a manner behoving of the nobility of the legal profession, definitely you cannot earn respect. And when I mean be careful about carrying yourself, I also mean about the dressing pattern. Because we do, often we find the younger generation being unmindful of the code of dress that is being prescribed under the Advocates Act. Why I say so is now that we do not bother to leave our hairs as such, because the ultimate question is, in what way does it bother you? You need only be concentrating on the point of law that I make across. No, your appearance does matter, and your way of dressing also matters. But the sad fact is that many seniors today are very much, they really don't have the courage to tell you at your face, look here, please be modestly dressed, which behoves of an officer of court. We had, Sheila Chechi would be here, when we enrolled people like seniors at the bar, like lady lawyers like Prabha Menon and other lawyers used to call us, no, they would threaten us saying that if you leave your hair like this, you'll know the consequences. Even today, let me tell you, if we are seen leaving our hair as such, Prabha Chechi would take the liberty to tell us, but she would not take the liberty to tell the younger generation. Your demeanor in court, the way you dress, the way you present, your humility, the style of submission is all put together that makes you a good lawyer. And my request to the younger generation is that when we say that lawyer's profession is a noble profession, conduct yourself in every manner behoving of that, including maintaining integrity. Never ever, maybe you may be able to get benefits by resorting to such tactics for a short period. But in the long run, what what really matters is only integrity and integrity alone, which will make you a recognized lawyer in the bar. And when I put across such ideas what younger members of the bar should be following, you may not mistake me to say, mean that I'm trying to convey to you that there is a generation gap between you and the elder generation. There is no point in making such statements. No. I would like to bring to your attention of to our young people, they disrespect their elders, they disobey their parents, they ignore the laws, they riot in the streets inflamed with wild notions. Their morals are decaying. What is to become of them? You know, these words are not of your seniors or your immediate elder generation. These are the words of Plato, the Greek philosopher who lived 2,300 years back. Aristotle too had expressed a similar opinion when he expressed in these words, young people have exalted notions because they have not yet been humbled by life or learned its necessary limitations. Moreover, their hopeful disposition makes them think themselves equal to great things. They would always rather do noble deeds than useful ones. Their lives are regulated more by moral feelings and than by reasoning. All their mistakes are in the direction of doing things excessively and vehemently. They overdo everything. They love too much, hate too much, and the same with everything else. I quoted this only to tell you, we also have been accused of this generation gap. And don't feel that we are accusing you of generation gap. No, even 2,300 years ago, also this generation gap was criticized. This would continue to be done, but this generation gap should not be in such a way that we compromise on integrity and nobility of the profession to which we belong. And may I tell you, as being a lawyer, I have realized that I will have to continue this profession if destiny so permits till last day, which means once a lawyer, always a lawyer, and I have to continue as a lawyer. When continuing as a lawyer, filled with such conflicts, be it of your case, be it with your opponent counsel, be it with your opponent client, it remains a fact that this profession does not hardly gives us a chance to think about our own selves. Rather, in a different way than what Justice Shyam Kumar put it, the health part, probably the physical health, what he was referring to. But I would say that while going ahead with our profession, we should also concentrate on improving our moral and spiritual health. I would conclude by saying that when we have had our education for life, by having completed our degree, we should continue to pursue our education of life throughout. I would say that this education of life is the one which Swamiji was also pointing out, to know that you are also part of that higher self and to understand your fellow beings better. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for sharing your valuable insights on the topic. Your experiences and struggles as a young woman lawyer was something that all lawyers here could relate to. Thank you, ma'am, for telling us that perseverance and hard work pays off at the end, no matter what life throws at you, and for also highlighting the importance of bar and bench in a lawyer's career. Now, I would like to call upon the last panelist of today, Advocate Sriram Valia sir. Sir needs no introduction as he has been a part of the Bharati Abhibhasha Parishad for years now, actively involving and helping us in every step. But for the sake of formality, I would like to formally invite him to the session. Sriram Lawyer Sir is a highly experienced third generation lawyer with a distinguished career spanning over 35 years. He is an alumnus of ILS Law College Pune, where he excelled as the best student of his batch. He has consulted with international firms in the US and Middle East and has served as a resource person at numerous national law schools and universities. He was a sportsman during his early days, with having competed 3 times at the national levels. He was also trained in Kalari fighter, judo, and state level boxing. He possesses expertise across various legal domains, including civil, commercial, constitutional, family, criminal, and taxation law. He commenced his legal journey under the tutelage of eminent lawyers in Kerala's high courts and trial courts. His distinguished service includes appointments such as the sole district government leader and prosecutor for Lakshadweep from the year 2010 to 2017, the senior standing counsel for customs, central excise and related agencies from 2016 to the present date, special public prosecutor in cases concerning child and women's rights from 2018 to the present date, the retainer counsel and special public prosecutor for CBI from 2023 to the present, and is also the senior partner of the esteemed law firm Warrior and Company. He is also empaneled as a mediator, conciliator, and arbitrator faculty before the Honorable High Court of Kerala and other institutions, including the ICADR. And with that, I would now like to invite Sir for the session.
Very good evening. If it was a court, I could have made a submission. It could certainly stay. But I mean, this would go to a year, then probably I'm not sure whether I will be able to have it at that point. I'm not sure at this point of time whether you all are going to enjoy, but I will certainly enjoy seeing your face and speaking a few words to you. Without much introduction concerning the time that we have, what are the little experience that I have had in my life, in my struggle to become a lawyer? I believe that is the best thing I can share with you. I had no thought of becoming a lawyer. My fascination was in sports. But the sports was so nothing like today's tennis or shuttle or chess, which probably would have made everyone feel very, very prestigious to be a parent of. My father one day said, after about 3.5 years, probably 4 years of my career being proceeded as a martial artist, and that too, the least preferred, that is Karate fire, in a very sophisticated, modern way, along with my other martial arts. But my father said, son, it is not going to work out. This field, very sensible advice. The sports and other things are all good if you are a professional and everybody is going to appreciate you. One day, if you have an injury and then you are done and you are nowhere after that, he advised me, I did not heed his advice. So one fine day, he was very emotionally said, will you please get out of my life or get out of my house, go anywhere away from this place. I was wondering, how could a father say this? So he said, I can't walk outside. That was a time when I was a teacher in two eminent schools, and all the prestigious people were the parents of the students of those schools. I was training 2 children of the then High Court judges. And one day when my father was meeting the judges, those days you don't even go in front, you walk, just say namaste and go. They were going to the temple, they were coming out of it. The judge and the wife came and said, Marsha Sugate. So certainly, their students, teacher. And then my father was still a little away. That was the courtesy that they had. And then, this was the approach. And wherever he went,
he was identified as the father of a qualified teacher. This is something which no father could have taken at that point of time, especially in my family. So he said, please go out to this place so that we don't have to suffer this. Our family basically has a lot of professionals. Without an educational qualification in this place, I mean, you are nothing. And I was I decided that I'd come back only as a professional because my father happens to be a lawyer and a professional. It is that which made me leave the house. And within 3 days, I noticed that that was the time when the 5-year LLB was introduced. Well, I had already come out of my degree. I was a dropout of my degree course, which my father did not know, which he came to know me very late. He was very sad. My son was, I thought when he was doing his graduation, at the end of the day, he doesn't even have a degree, and he says he is going to be a martial art exponent. So with that challenge, I took up, I wanted to take up law. And as you all know, very difficult to get into engineering and other professional courses. Not even an MBA. MBA was more difficult those days. The only option that I had was, fortunately, I have an LLB. I asked one of my seniors in college who had come on vacation. He said, this is too bad. Your father met me. He felt very bad. Where did you come? It was a nice college. So I checked about the college, and that was the first college to introduce the 5-year course. And when I went there, I was literally astonished to see that I was one of the most premier colleges in the Indian Law Society's ILS Law College. Anything that has come to my life, I've just accepted it without knowing that, without chasing for it. And the first step that I had was my father throwing me out of my house. Fortunately, that gave me a different direction. And secondly, accidentally getting into ILS Law College. Unfortunately, passing out from the college with a distinction and scholarship all through. All the 10 semesters, they gave me a scholarship. So I studied without any from my parents. But living in Pune was very difficult. And I wanted to be not compromising with my studies. Because I've already lost 4 years. I have to literally catch up. And interestingly, I met, in fact, I was slightly elder to the other children, like they were all after the 12th, holding their hands and going to the canteen. I was so serious and I had no company as such. And the place that I could have probably gone was the library. And I had Professor Mrs. Rao, who was paralyzed from, towards the down side. She was brought in a cycle on the wheelchair, and she used to sit in that particular library. So I used to spend most of the time, and she used to write me also. So I asked her, "Ma'am, this is my background. I want to be really good in law, and I somehow want to. Please guide me." She was a professor in law with a master's there. And so she could not go to the school and the classrooms and teach. What she opted was she would be a librarian. She took a library science after that. She was such an excellent librarian who knew everything about law and the legal profession. Professors in Constitution. She said, you go to the main library and you will have the stairs. Face the stairs and just have a look at it. And that will actually inspire you. She said, I went there. And when I went there, I saw a board. That was the honor board. That's the only award which entitles you to your name being written over. And she called me back and said, what did you find over there? This is it. So now what is the criteria? Here is the rank. Rank. If you're a gold medalist in Hindu law, if you're a gold medalist in that constitutional law, it appears for probably 2 months in the notice board. There'll be a notice saying that congratulations, Shilavari has got a university. So don't go into the subject ranks. Go into the all-round rank and that as the best student. The 5 years, literally what was being shown, probably what I was aiming at was that. Now, interestingly, this award was actually formulated in such a way that there are certain curriculum which you are supposed to follow. And basically, US concept. And we had majority of us were basically doctorate holders from the US, like Dr. S.P. Sati, Dr. Kelawala, and people like Ubendra Vashi, Professor Ubendra Vashi, Justice Menon, all these people were regularly available over there. Dr. Sati was a director and excellent and an academician, constitutional expert. So he had formulated this since about 70s or so. That has 20 points and 4 points were basically for your curricular marks. Of course, you need to have a minimum, which fortunately I had distinctions, so there was no issue. There were several activities which you were supposed to be, you were supposed to be involved in. First activity included the initial days. You were to be into debates. You were to be into moot courts. You were to be into case comments. Several activities into legal aid, public speaking, all these, how you deal with your other student and friends, your professors, everything has been looked into, which means you have to be literally molding you into a totally different personality. I had a problem when I went in Pune. Kind of a minute's decision, probably it was not, I thought it was not a wise decision after I reached there to take up law. Everybody said, no, law means language. You need to have excellent language so that you gain information, you read and understand, and you have to deliver it. And I started my schooling in a typical village school, which was the SMT High School in Chelakara. You must have heard of Chelakara. The school was notoriously known for people who wrote masks. That is where I belong to, so I started over. Up to 4th standard, I was in Malayalam and I was a good student. I was pretty good. My father was a little ambitious about me. He said, I have to take him out of that school, put him somewhere in the city, Ernakulam. The only place he could find at that point of time was to get me into SRV. SRV was known more like the Palestinians. Take a stone and throw it. Every day there used to be, and there was a potentially of some, and then he had put me in that particular school. Over there, exactly like Justice Shyam said. English and Hindi were taught in Malayalam. But it was an English medium school and there were only 30 or 40 children over there. And in my 5th standard, I had to write English in sentences, which these students, my other students had started doing. They had their education in English from 1st standard onwards. In about 2 years' time, I literally struggled. And then I had to cope up somehow. Still, I did not have an excellent background in English. My grammar was bad. I could not even construct a sentence properly. My father was still not happy at that point of time. He said, look, whatever I can give, he has got justifications for everything. What I can give him is a good education. So he somehow tried to get me into the central school where you had 4% for civilians, KV, Kendriya Vidyalaya, where you have only, that to inside the neighborhoods, and where you have only Hindi and English speaking, of which 90% speak Hindi. For 3 years, I was the best student of the teachers. Whenever we had a parent-teacher meeting, they would tell my mother, father never had, he's a lawyer, he had never had time to come home. He would tell my mother, one of the finest students, all of the students talk in the class, this boy doesn't talk in the class, because over there, if you don't talk, so I was for 3 years, and I think my parents took me for something like depression also to some people. I didn't know whom they had taken me to. And I had suffered depression at that point of time because I could not speak except 1 or 2 persons whom I used to hide and speak in Malayalam, or she used to come and tell me, this is what the master is asking. Oh, fine. So I struggled a lot, until about 8. But then I felt, I can't be, nobody and non-entity in the school. So I decided to be a little different. There's a time when my joined Kalari Poet because everybody was lagging. You can see Punjabis, Haryana people, I mean, they're all strong. Whoever is weak, they would always have a habit of ragging kind of. I went into Kalari and then since my 7th standard, I was into Kalari until about 1984. A good time. With my Kalari, I became a hero. Because after the 3rd year, I had a demonstration with the school and everybody, every Punjabi and every North Indian started getting frightened of me. I became a hero. Got into sports which doesn't need language. I became a sports captain over there. Again, my deficiency was in English and Hindi I somehow managed because there are children over there who can't speak good English. Therefore, they spoke Hindi and therefore I could listen to Hindi much more than the Hindi news I hear nowadays. Therefore, Hindi became a little more acceptable to me in time. I somehow managed to pass in the sense with a first class. Those days, first class, first rank was also something which you could hear. 63% was the rank, national rank. And I don't know how I managed 60, I somehow managed 60 and I had a first class. But everybody appreciated. It is because of this depression and all these things that I didn't want to study anymore because studies have now been encouraging. Then I joined, after my 12th, I joined my graduation. Fine. I found so many things attractive. In a KV, you are so strictly brought up. That too under the naval officers. When I went into the Sacred Arts College, election was something very fascinating for me. Somebody who comes from a KV or a CBSE school. Got messed up in my life for next 4 years, except with my martial arts and other sports, which doesn't again me. Got an employment based on that, but for 4 years. It is then that I went to Pune, as I said. In Pune, when I explained this to my professor, in law college, you can even sit at the back bench and listen. You don't have to be proactive. But with this particular professor guiding me, thanks to God, she said, oh, so you have a language problem. She said, English is not the language of law, don't worry about it. In law, you have a different language and that is called the legal language. So you have not lost anything. That language is different from the English that you see. Seems to be even spoken by many people. She gave me an exercise and I was literally acknowledging when Justice Shyam said, one judgment a day. She used to choose short judgments. And she used to ask me to read the same thing. She said, you may not understand, but you will see a lot of new words which are legal language and which are basically used by judges. And in a court of law, you need that language which are normally spoken to by the judges. Judge's language, if you can acquaint with the judge's language, then you are more closer to the bench. Bench in the sense, that on your opposite side you have the judges and you get identified and you can communicate much better with the language that the judges know. Every day I used to read one, get acquainted with the legal terminology. If I do not understand a particular word, write it down. And then I used to make sure that I get the dictionary for the purpose of understanding that word. Therefore, even if my language was in general English was very bad, fortunately, my legal language was really good. And that reflected even my answers in the annual exams. So where people wrote about 30 pages, I would write something like 16 pages. And within that 16 pages, they used to have the best answers, and that is why I could top almost for 4 years with almost 84%. The professors used to tell me, when they normally it used to be a joint effort, all the 80 professors would come, they would have their valuation. So from the 2nd or 3rd years, the professors would have started saying that this is Amma, ILS Kappa. So that means he knew that this particular person is from ILS and he has a style of writing. And my style of writing was something similar to that of AIR manual, where if you have a subject, if you check AIR manual, one particular section is split into 10 words. Every word is explained. And that's the best way you can understand what that particular section is. Not necessarily that everybody refers to AIR manuals nowadays, you have much better equipment. So that was one of the finest tools. So my first tool that I got acquainted was not merely the language, but the legal language. The words that I used were exactly the words that you would find in a judgment. And judgments contain those words which are identical or which are relatable to a statute. And judges always wanted a statute, a section, and something related to that which would explain the word. So, first tool. Second tool was I was very bad at speaking. So, took up an initiative of Marathi students and myself and few other students. We got ourselves together. We said, we will have a debate club, or at least a public speaking exercise. We improved ourselves. I'm not saying any of the juniors have this problem today. Most of you would have excellent language because English, Kerala is basically known for good language. People learn, they have opportunity to learn good language, that is fine. There might be someone who has difficulty, and that is exactly what I'm aiming at. So for a person who has difficulty with language, need not worry. At least he can be an average lawyer like me, at least, he can be successful to that extent. He will not fail in practice. After all this, I was lucky after my course. After about 2 years, there was an advertisement saying that, look, there is a scholarship. And that scholarship was to take you to any foreign state. And for a student, it says successful young professionals and businessmen who are supposed to be given this. You have it even today. Young lawyers can certainly look for this. This takes you to the foreign countries, and I was literally waiting for the US. The US has always been a dream for me, so I was waiting for. The earlier year was Brazil. I waited till the US was open, and then I applied. Fortunately, I got it. I got it because it says you are the ambassador, the cultural and professional ambassador. Yeah. And my qualified here be 70% and 30% was my job. Nobody, the people who interviewed me was fascinated by my qualified and they took me in fact. And the advantage that came to me was that I got exposed to a system which is in US. How do they practice? And then when I was supposed to live there, I was supposed to live with 16 families, 16 different American families who cannot be an Indian. Your exposure to the culture and the way in which the lawyers live there, their style of working, all that became a little, more familiar to me. Fine. Missed a small gap that happens sometimes for lawyers if you don't write it appropriately. When I came here after my qualification, with all those 28 moot courts to my record, almost 4 or 5 case comments criticizing or analyzing and writing on the Supreme Court judgments, all of which are then appreciated by my professors. Some of them came in the SEC also, journals. I thought I'm going to just crack into this, and I will certainly be a very, very whom you can choose as a role model. Go take their blessings. So a list was prepared. First, I had a very senior uncle, PGK Warrior. Most of you may not even know, probably Anil Sir would PGK. Some of those eminent lawyers, not because it's very well known, worth watching. Mr. Vyasan Koti, who was a very eminent lawyer here. We had PMK HN Sir. And Mr. TRG Warrior, Govindawari, said, go get his blessings, all these people. So I started going to each of these people. I went to TRG Warrior, so he had read some kind of an article about me, which had come in the paper because of my achievements in the ILS Pune University. So he said, oh, yes, come. Got his blessings. Said, have a tea with me. Normally, he's one person who we don't even go closer, don't even sit. Family cover, I won't. My father used to keep a distance. Such an eminent lawyer, senior counsel of those 80s, when there were hardly 3 or 4 senior counsels, designated senior counsel, he was one of those. was a senior standing counsel which is equal to that of the DSG of ASG today. He was that in 1975 and the contemporary and the best friend of KK Venugopal, whom KK Venugopal, is senior counsel KK Venugopal says one of the toughest opponent that I've seen is in Kerala, and that is Mr. Warrior, who has been my contemporary. I went to him, started casually seeing, so that was the second Saturday, I still remember, 7th July, I'm sorry, 8th July 1989. One hand was a Sirvoy, and the other side was a TV, which most of us did not have at that point of time, the luxury of seeing this tennis match. He would watch, whenever there was a clapping sound, he would watch the tennis, but on second Saturday evening, he would be working upon a particular issue. And then when I went there, he kept it down, was looking for a youngster to chat for some time because he doesn't get youngsters anywhere near him. He said, look, oh, you just enrolled, casually started talking and then he asked me, general advices. And incidentally, he said, watch the court. Listen to all the senior lawyers argue. In fact, I'm not sure if you'll get space in the first court. On the first court, it's a little difficult because children are supposed to sit at the back. In fact, I'm having a matter which has been going on for 18 days. This was going to be the 9th day. Very eminent lawyer, K.V. Kuriakos, was arguing. Well, those days, it's not like today. When you have a very complex matter, 4 or 5 seniors would come together. They would split. They would say this point would be argued by so and so. This one would be argued by yet another question would be argued. And they used to have an excellent understanding of those days. So tomorrow I'm going to start. 18 days, it was Mr. Kuriakos and I believe Mr. Narayan Nambiar. These were the 2 persons who had completed. Now he was supposed to start. So he asked me a very casual question, treating me as just a boy. Have you heard of basic structure doctrine? That was the expectation that they had about today. Everybody would ask these questions. You know, like thinking that have you heard of as if generally the students probably need not? I said yes. So I just told him. What I'm saying is certain things which come into your way. I'm not saying what transpired on that, but how it reflected in my life. So, have you heard of basic structure doctrine? I said yes. The 150 number case. He looked at me this way. What is that? It is said that 150 truckloads were taken out of the Supreme Court after this particular case was heard for almost 150. But the number of lawyers who appeared around 150 days, there were a number of 150 specifications that particular case. And so argued for the government. Mr. Palkiwala, when he was trying to do, we are almost at the losing end, he coined a word. He said, then I would rely on basic structure. And he explains that though this particular terminology was used earlier, the way Mr. Palkiwala explained basic structure, that was an excellent classroom over the Supreme Court. This is what is said. And I said so much. You see that, right? So then I slowly said, yes. In fact, I assisted my director, Dr. Sate, in 2 of his books. One was on constitutional amendments and constitutional decisions. I tried to push him one, you also look for opportunities to push him. Oh, is it so? So you have written which are those books? I said these are the 2 books. And the third one was Ratanlal Veeraslal, which also had contributed while I was a student. Oh, so you were so happy. So DRG Warrior was so fascinated by people who have been academic. Anyway, I could just push him, like in these 3 things. Good. Look, I'm on a different point. This is called accusation and recusation. This is the point. It is a very wonderfully argued case. You would have seen went on for almost 30 days in the chief school. So I'm starting on this particular point. When I explained all this thing, after this, he thought he would at least communicate with this. He said, have you heard of these 2 things? Accusation and recusation. So I have only heard about accusation. I don't know about recusation. So in 2 minutes, he gave me what it is. Acquisition means purchase. Requisition means take it temporarily. It is a request that you give it, you have to honor eminent domain. And I said, these words have words, now I understand. So during emergencies, you are entitled to take possession of the properties. You have no right to resist. While acquisition, you are paid, compensated, and the other one, you may not even be compensated to be doing a favor to the state. I said, why don't you work up the English and, so this was one opportunity. Why don't you look up the English and American positions? So I was thrilled. Because you will take some time to come to the, you have not even started anything. I thought it was a wonderful opportunity. And that in front of him, I would have at least kept at least 15 feet a distance with him. So why don't you work up this English and American positions on this? Like a young child, I asked him, English, what do we look at? He said, as far as surprisingly crushed, and I didn't know that that was his weakness. I did not know. Mr. Warrior had a reputation of studying every law, first through the English law. He used to study the first principles and then he used to. In fact, he used to have an excellent library of all the English decisions or English library. So in your college, I mean, have you looked at Harrisburg? I said, yes, for all the moot courts, I mean, I used to have a look at it. Our professors also used to have a refer some decisions when they refer. I mean, Americans, out of curiosity, asked me a question, out of, so American positions, what book do we have? So he asked me, what do you look at? So I said, American jurisprudence is something which I have looked at in the library. Great, I don't have those books, I have Corpus Juris Secundum. Now what I'm saying is, this dialogue did not have any relevance, but it connected me with a very senior counsel. He said, okay, look up these, and I was accepted, I was received in his office, where till then, unless you have some kind of a standing, he would not have received anybody. He would say, you will not do anything good to me, nor are you going to be benefited by coming into my office. This used to be his standard. So I became the first young lawyer to directly step into and being accepted as his junior. Coincidence, that's all. Now I know I will not have any role in that particular office. In the end, please, those who are waiting here, I'll give you a 5-finger test, which is essential for every young lawyer to grow your profession. I will certainly conclude with that, but before. So the next opportunity was, first day I went there, so the second Saturday, so he said, work up. Incidentally, I sat on that day until about 11 o'clock, until everybody left, and I mean, you also went to sleep. 11 o'clock, I had looked at all those books, including the Weekly Law Reporter, all English, which I had over there. I worked upon those things because I was asked to look at the English position. Kept everything ready as a synopsis and the decisions. So next day, Sunday morning, when I went there, he said, could you look up something? So he saw about a pile of books, almost 15, 20 books being arranged. So he looked at it, then he said, looked at me, and then he was very happy. Then comes our Justice Bhavadasan, who was over there, comes at about 9:30, 10, says, Bhavadasan, Yanaka English library nokan Trivashanga. I had a So that was the first impression that I created in the senior's mind. It was very difficult to be with him. Probably, it was a big, so that is how I got it. And next day, he became very, very impressed about my research also. Now you may wonder how I got this research attitude and all that. In the law college, certain opportunities came in. The same Professor Rao said, to learn the language, English language, I will introduce you to some of the authors who are professors of those writing articles, research papers, or all, they basically they were doing that. So they would like you to, and I will let you, like I would get introduced to Dr. S.P. starting, and that was the greatest person at that point of time. And anything that they would say, I was supposed to type and read, and I was very good at typing. So by typing, the advantage was I was literally learning the language of an eminent jurist and an author. So even when you write an article, or how we used to research, so we used to assisting in research, finding out this. Fine. As a typist, when I worked, I knew typing, so I worked. One. Second part, as a researcher for these authors, I knew that I was developing some kind of, I don't know, probably I developed that kind of a research attitude. All this helped me when I met a similar person who valued all these things. Second day when the matter was taken up, several people were there. This is really was there in our office. Nias had not, Nias had not joined. This is Baudas and others. So many of those very senior people were there. The instruction was by my father that you will never sit on the right or the left of the senior council. It is immediately the immediate junior, the senior most junior who would sit on the right, and the next person would be on the left. And these are the people who can argue a matter in the absence of the senior counsel if the court insists. On the right hand side, lawyer is supposed to argue. If that is supposed to be the standard of on the level of understanding or research that you would have done. So you will never sit here. So I sat in the previous one, so the next amendment back page. When the matter was to be taken up, it was Justice Malimat and Justice Vasan here. Matter was to be taken. He said, "What is done?" So I said, "I'm here, I'm at the back. Why are you sitting there? Come and sit here. You have worked upon this." And on the second day, Justice Malimat asked Justice Napier, "Who's this young boy? He cannot be a briefing lawyer to a senior like committee argument. He could not have been an engaging lawyer also. He has not been seen in the High Court for all these days. So who is this?" So he asked a question. Court officer was called and asked, "What is his name?" So court officer asked me, so I said, "Srilal Wadia." And then this name was given to Justice Nambiar. So Justice Nambiar knew my father very well, so he could identify. But however, Justice Malimat took it as and asked, "Oh, Mr. Wadia, I did not know that you had a son. I thought when you had to doctor, that was your information. No, he is like my son. Look at the senior who identifies ourselves with him." The first posting that I had, on the third day, I'm not saying the background, the same senior counsel tells the court, my young friend tells me how to find out their position in the he himself was an authority in English research. How to find out their position. All of this was because of my college. So if you are from an excellent college where the professors knew how to mold you, you are half successful. If not, please learn it now. Go back and do all this, not to the college, but to our library. Follow all these ties. This is what it is. Now to my young friends. I'm just trying to tell you, so I got a push over there. And then because I was identified with him for 6 months, I'm sorry, for 6 months, I was asked not to argue a single case. Will any of you juniors feel happy if you are not allowed to argue a case within 6 months? So for me, whatever he said was the ultimate word for me. I said, I'll happily be doing it. And he was actually planning to go to the Supreme Court. He wanted a person who would be a briefing lawyer. I'll just come to that. So he was literally preparing me, and I had that kind of an experience in the training from his side. But as a briefing lawyer for 6 months, I knew how to brief an excellent senior lawyer. And if you are to prepare for such a systematic senior lawyer, your preparation standard also becomes really good. One. Now, my young friends, I'll give you a simple thing that you can remember. In lawyer's profession, there's something called the 5-finger rule. Sometimes there can be an exception of a 6-finger rule. Some of these fingers are already identified when the other speakers and resource persons spoke. If this is the This is your palm. Everything is in your palm. You have to say it is within your control. But then how well you get it controlled, that's the only issue. You have this finger and thumb rule, thumb finger, which is the main finger. Without this, probably you cannot survive in this particular field. Can somebody let me know what this probably identifies to in our profession? Nothing but the clientele. Thumb rule is that if you don't have a clientele, a good clientele, you probably may find it difficult. Your clientele could be anyone who engages you. It can be yet another lawyer. Anybody who is a source of work for you. Therefore, sourcing work, developing excellent clientele is something which every lawyer should train if you want to be a full lawyer. How do you do that? There are methods which I tell you. First thing is that you should be known, identified in the society as a lawyer. And the lawyer as a class. Whenever somebody sees you, has a glance at you, they should be able to say, he must be a lawyer. That is the standard that I have seen in US. The US, if you say somebody who is well dressed, who is presentable, and who maintains their class, you'll say he probably is a lawyer, who else can be? That is the kind of identification. So you have to be in the society and you have to be identified with that kind of a class. Now, please don't, as a good lawyer, please don't roam around in lungi saying, this is not my area, everybody knows me. No. There could be a stranger who is walking along and he would probably see you in a lungi, and at a later point of time when he sees you, right, first is the source. The second one is, I close at that, get an excellent source. The second one is, the second set of lawyers are, once a client's case is received, it is passed on to the second one, which is the client counseling or information gathering, specific information gathering. Two, after the information is gathered, a brief is prepared. This is how some of the leading firms work. This information is passed on to the third side. That particular third side lawyers literally work out what possible or what are the best possible reliefs that particular person can get. The third category is so thorough in law that they convert the facts of the case, they transform it into an excellent legal case for the party. They will have to, they prepare the case, they have the ability to brief a lawyer if they feel that they are not excellent delivery people. They are not excellent arguing lawyers. And when you have arguing lawyers who are really good at it, the briefing lawyers normally go and brief the arguing lawyer. If this particular arguing lawyer, what is his ability? We will just say what are the qualities of each of this. This particular person would have the best of the standard deliveries in, or he is an excellent communication skill expert. What is a court? A court is nothing but a place where things are being communicated to a third person who has no idea, and if he has some acquaintance with that, he is supposed to avoid. So he has no background about your case. It is you who will be able to communicate to his understanding, to his convincing. And that is the skill of a lawyer as a communicator. If you ask me, there are courses of almost 15 days in specializing in or getting trained in communication as is required by a lawyer. These are all called finishing schools. For almost 15 days are taken to prepare an ordinary man into a communicating lawyer, which means he's an arguing lawyer. Where everything is communicated, his body language, verbal, all those are being trained. What I'm saying is, so if you see any of those senior lawyers coming from Supreme Court who have been successful, the quality that you can find is the way he would communicate to the judge, and he gets the attention of the judge, and he makes sure that what is said from here is received on the other side. And he makes sure that the judge has received it and understood it the right way. This is what his role is. For him to have all this delivered, you get all those things which are delivered by the briefing lawyers, and in short time, in probably 20 minutes, 30 minutes, the whole concept is being briefed to the senior lawyer. And senior lawyers have that, they're so thorough with the law that they grab it so fast. Now here is going to be the fifth finger. You need to manage all these things. You always have a managing lawyer. We will not burden the research and briefing lawyer with all other issues like getting clients, arguing. These are not their concern. Their concern is 100% into preparation, research and preparation. This is one wing in an excellent law firm. There are persons in a particular law firm who are specialized, who are skilled in getting the image of the office literally understood or marketed. I wouldn't use the word marketed, but let known to the public. That person goes for seminars. He goes as a spokesperson. He goes as a faculty. He is present everywhere where there are other people who are in the field. So if somebody has to refer a matter, it is through this particular person which comes in. He is an expert. He is very good, but he is not interested in the court work. He is not interested in the research work. He has got a magnetic charm of getting those people attracted to. The next person, senior counsels, senior counsels in the sense arguing counsels. Every good law firm where a senior partner has become very senior that he finds it very difficult to come to the court. And he has got now, by this time, he has got the experience of how a law firm works, how the court works, how the clerical system works, how everything works, including the briefing and training. He assumes the role of the managing partner or the senior man, and he makes sure that all the other branches get everything that is required to them. This is the 5 rule. My friends, not everybody need to be good in everything. Juniors are supposed to look at one area, and that area, if you become successful, you will automatically get elevated to the other part, and that is the second part of it. Research and briefing. Don't jump into arguing. Why I say is because you could make a mistake. The first presentation has to be after mastering this. If you master this, then anything that you speak to anyone automatically markets you. Clientele, you go for any seminar, you go for anything, wherever you have a presentation opportunity, please do that. There would be people watching you as a person who is excellent, and he would be the person who would be getting the sourcing the event.